Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a sunny and brisk March 2nd down here in North Kakalaki. How's the weather up in your world in PA?
Cold.
Hmm,
We had largely, I mean, it was like super cold last week, and this week it was much warmer, but today it dropped back down to being cold again. I think it's supposed to get warmer after tomorrow,
yes.
so and like well, hang on, let me just check real quick.
Down here, while you're checking, down here is this. The previous week was definitely cold. This past week is been a whirlwind. One day it's 75, the next day it's 52. Then it goes back up to 74 and then back down to the 40s. And yesterday was a beautiful day. I think it was like 74, 75 again. Sunny out, great day, a little breezy but nice. And today, um, yeah, what is the temperature currently right now? It's 39 out and sunny. We're only going to get a high of 41. So,
Yeah.
and then this coming week is supposed to be kind of crazy. It's going to be 50s, 60s, 40s, 60s, 30s. Yeah, we're going to be all over the place again. But,
Okay, so
you
yeah,
know,
today it says we're getting a high of 33,
okay.
and it said my phone tells me it's 25 right now. It definitely felt that
Cool.
when I was outside about an hour ago picking up my
Yeah.
groceries, which
Yes.
which we'll get to.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Real quick
Um,
before we get started here. Um, it is Sunday, March 2nd, and the other day, 2 days ago was Friday, and I was a little late on this, 2 days late, unfortunately. But I posted, episode 157 of our podcast. And then yesterday I had a little issue with the program Opus Clips. Uh, it wasn't recognizing my login information. I don't know, saw me try to hack it or whatever. But nonetheless, I got it working. And I posted 3 clips. In one of them, I uploaded our podcast to our Facebook account and uploaded a clip. Uh, where is it at? Ah, here it is. I I had to do the one clip that I posted on Facebook along with our YouTube channel. Um, I left it as my name is not McNutty. Uh, it was the when Jeremy was telling us the story about at the basketball game how the announcer mispronounced his name, right? And I said at that point he should have called you Mr. McNutty. So I got a clip of that and I posted it on a YouTube channel, which got 23 views. I think I got more on our Facebook page. But nonetheless, I thought it was funny. But thank you to our fans for viewing our clips. We have another clip we can add to our 500 plus where I took a clip of PK Subban. Got I put 2 clips, different clips of him because during that segment I played. One of them got 38 views, which is great, but the other one got 502, which is awesome. Um, So thank you to everybody. So if we're looking at our clips and viewing them, please share, click and subscribe. We enjoy it. Believe me, we're not making money off anything. So we're just doing this for the joy of doing this. And but we want to get out there, get out to more of you people to see, view, and listen to us. Um, so overall, all even our audio platforms are doing well right now. We're getting a decent amount, good amount of numbers for downloads. So I appreciate you fans for doing that as well. Um, where is it? Here, posts. Let's see. I did make a post, and I posted on our Facebook page. If you did not see Pat, about our next Mount Rushmore topic. What would it be out? What should it be about? So I put 4 options, kind of random. One of them was the candy bars, which you mentioned in our group text the other day. So it's video games, candy bars, women's pro wrestlers updated, and DC villains. And so far, we've gotten a couple votes for DC villains. People
yeah.
want us DC villains. So I posted on our Facebook. So let's see. By this coming Thursday, I'll give it till that time to see where we're at, and then I'll let you and the third wheel know what the
Conspicuous
outcome
by his
is.
absence.
What the outcome is for our poll there. So and we'll go from there. But just wanted to say thank you to fans for that. Just woke up and
Yes.
saw, all right, got some views. Got another
Thank you.
five.
Thank you for the engagement. We appreciate it.
Yes, another 500 view clip. That's awesome. I'll check Facebook and see where that is at a later point in time today, but definitely good stuff. So we're on a
So
roll here.
on those lines, I got like a notification on my phone yesterday when I was over at my sister's house
Yes.
about that clip being uploaded, the one with Jeremy talking about, his name being, you know, said wrong and everything.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess I didn't either see or didn't really acknowledge the caption about, calling him, McNutty, because like, assuming that's a Wire reference.
I it wasn't a reference to anything. I was just in that moment, it just popped to my head the way Jeremy told us how um the gentleman pronounced his name during the introductions of the basketball game. It Mr. McNutty just popped in my head out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it was no reference to anything. Maybe subconsciously it was,
Yeah, I think
but
subconsciously it may have been because since I, binge watched The Wire about a month ago,
it's been some
it was
time
like,
since I've seen that, so it could be.
yeah, but it was like there were several times in the show where, I damn, I can't remember the character's name now. The guy who was like the junkie who like was informing for them a lot.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Can't remember his character name now, and that's pissed me off. And I think Omar as well, both referred to McNulty as McNutty on more than a few occasions.
I think so,
You know,
yes.
so yeah, I
Yes,
could
yes.
appreciate that. But maybe it was like the way I was watching it on my phone. I don't know, but I was like, I only saw you two in that clip.
So the clips are weird.
So I was trying to remember, was I on for this? Did I miss an episode recently?
No, 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 you were on for it. So it, when you do the clips, it kind of pulls from who's talking.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, as I was going on, I was like, yeah, I don't think I was saying anything. So that's
No,
probably why I'm
no.
not being shown. Yeah.
So
Which makes sense.
it pulls from the talkers because there's if you look at some of our clips, there's times where all three of us on there because we're all talking, but there's times where like you don't see me. There's several ones where you don't see me because like you and Jeremy are talking and I'm really haven't said anything and it's just kind of the clip pulls. So the program I use is Opus Clips. There's another one that I have found, and one of the streamers that I do watch who does gaming uses this as well, and he's told me that it works pretty well. He likes it better than the Opus Clips, so I'm gonna try it, a free trial of it at one point. But it just randomly pulls clips based off how it generates it, right? Cool program. Sometimes I have to edit them and make them a little bit longer or shorter, but it does the captions and the
Which aren't perfect as I found.
oh no, no, no. Didn't to be honest with you, they're all imperfect in some manner
Yeah.
for real.
Oh yeah, there's so many things where I see stuff that uses captions. I mean, some of it's like when I'm like watching like old shows on, old WWE, WCW shows on Peacock, the captioning is like ridiculously bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I
It
can't think of any specific examples, but there's been plenty of times where I've had to like if I'm like staring at my screen, especially let's say if I'm like at work or something, like I have something on, I'm just like glancing at the screen at that time, and I see a caption pop up that's not what they said, and I have to kind of go like, make sure I don't laugh out loud, because some of them
yeah.
are they're like bad. It's like yeah, that's not even fucking close to what he said.
I feel that the system that pulls that's like hearing what you're saying and pulls the words, sometimes I don't think it understands. Like if you're talking fast or if you have like a slang or you have like a lisp or an accent, I think it doesn't fully uh truly understand that yet. So it seems like the closed caption's still a work in progress, even though it's been out forever. But
Yeah, no, well, instances like that I can understand, but some of the ones I've seen, there's no accent involved or anything like that. It's
and
just
they're just straight messing it up.
yeah.
That's funny. So it does for the titles of all the clips, it gives you four options. Like I think I'm able to like name it myself, but it gives you like four options. Like in here, I still have Opus Clips up, so it's kind of, let's see, let's go to this one. So you can change the title. So it has four different categories. It has interesting, catchy, serious, or question. So if whatever one I select, it will like change the title of the clip to match one of those categories. No, it does not let me manually edit. I thought it did, but I guess not. But uh yeah, but it's very interesting. So there's a lot of tools. I'll try the other one out and see how that works. Maybe this podcast I'll that we're recording today, I'll use the other program and see how it works. See where it goes from there. But yeah, once again, thanks for the fans for interacting with us on our social media platforms. I haven't done a good job with Instagram or X, yeah, or because it's just those platforms are just, I don't know, they're just a bit different. Maybe I should start downloading these clips and uploading them to Instagram and X and see how they
Well, when
do.
it comes to X,
We can skip X, but well, I mean, you can skip Instagram too. It depends on who you like and who you don't like. But um, I think Instagram will probably be a lot better to be downloading our clips to than X anyway. So yeah, we'll see. But all right, let's before we get into the topic of the WWE Elimination Chamber that we both watched last night. Um, how's your week going? What any great stories for this week that have come up in your life? Any juicy drama, prostitutes, winning the
no,
lottery?
they've been avoiding me for some reason. Something
Oh,
about non-payment. I'm like, hey, you got to spend time with me. That's all the payment you need.
touche. That should be enough.
It's when I make comments like that that I'm glad my mother doesn't listen to this. Not that she would believe anything that I'm saying, but she would go, "Why did you say something like that?"
Patrick,
Because it's funny.
Why are you saying things of that nature?
I've many times in my life accused my mother of not having a sense of humor. So, it's like just the way it
Understandable.
is.
Understand.
Um, stupid emails. Um, I don't have any really specific stories. I mean, just kind of a general thing. I mean, so like I
Yes.
said, I went out to pick up my groceries,
Hmm.
and something that I've noticed quite a bit when I do grocery pickups anymore. So, any grocery store you go to that has pickup services,
Hmm.
they have spaces designated as such. Okay. I have found that well, okay, I can't really even say a lot, but there have been several instances that I have seen where I go to do a pickup order and people have decided they don't give a shit. They
Mm.
park in those pickup spaces and there's nobody in the car when I'm there waiting for my order to come out. So
Uh,
obviously, those people are not waiting for pickup orders. They've gone into the store for whatever reason,
correct.
whether maybe they think they'll be in and out in 5 minutes or something. I don't know. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is, they just do it because what's going to happen? Nothing's
Nothing.
going to happen. The store is not going to report them.
No.
The store doesn't have time to have employees checking the spaces and seeing even if like when they're out there like making a delivery to somebody, they don't have time to stand there and dawdle or like say, oh my God, there's somebody in space 6 that's not actually in that car. I'm going to write down their license plate and do what? Call the cops?
Yeah. It's a touchy, it's an interesting subject because I don't see that very much down here, but yeah, I've heard people complain about that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Whenever I've seen it, it's not like all the spaces are filled. I've never encountered that. Okay. Because most of these places have allotted enough spaces, to do this seamlessly, I guess you could say. But it all ties back to something I read years and years ago. I don't remember what it was on. It might have been on CNN.com or some other site. It was an article that had conducted some kind of study. It was like a social study, essentially. People who viewed themselves as most highly moral
Ooh.
were also the people who would be like most likely to cut corners, do like little things
Mm.
because they thought of themselves both as highly moral. So it's like, oh, if I do it, there's really no problem.
Ah, yes, yes, them
But
people.
also just because they knew they could get away with it. And I don't see much of a stretch between something like that and then people saying, oh, yeah, I'm not going to report that on my taxes. Let's see if they catch me.
Hmm?
Because
I get where you're going with that one.
something that I know from my experience as being a tax accountant is that, and especially what's going on right now, it's not easy for the IRS to catch things. The IRS is highly automated anymore. So like let's say you're just like Joe Schmo and you work for somebody, you get a W-2 and a few other forms. You really can't cheat on your taxes. If you misreport anything that's on your forms, it's gonna trigger because it's already on file. That's what
Yeah,
it is. It's like it's all automated shit. It just matches up your social security number with what's been reported to them. And if something mismatches, it's going to get flagged automatically. And then you have to try to, justify that if it was a simple mistake or whatever the case may be.
yeah.
Now, if you're somebody who's maybe running a small business and you have to report on different schedules and stuff, you can definitely finagle those numbers and get away with it. Not that difficult. And if they ever actually do catch you on it, one of two things has to happen. Basically, you just go, oops, my bad, or you have somebody fight it for you, which means an
Int-
accountant.
Interesting.
Yeah. My former boss told me this story years ago. I don't know that it's 100% true, but at the same time, he's not one who lies, he's one who exaggerates. But this is a story I can definitely see that he did. We had a client who runs a ice cream shop,
Okay.
and I've been there a few times. Nice little place.
Okay.
She had breast augmentation done.
Hmm.
He got the cost deducted as a business expense.
Fucking glorious. That
Now, some of you might be out there asking, how the hell do you get a breast augmentation deducted as a business expense? And I will tell you,
wow.
it's because
I need to open a business.
it's because as the owner slash representative of the business, she is wearing shirts with the business's name on it.
So she wanted to make it bigger. The names
So
appear bigger. Okay.
having bigger breasts makes the shirt stand out more.
I fucking love it.
So it is a form of advertising. Now, something that I don't think I ever fully clarified with my boss was
Oh, that's great. I'm
don't
proud
die,
of him.
don't die.
I'm trying
I
not
can't I
to.
can't do this by myself. Something I never really fully clarified with my boss was,
Wow.
is that how he just passed it off and the IRS never called him on it? Or did he have to go justify that to the IRS and that was his argument and the IRS bought it? I think it was the latter, that he actually had to go argue that position and the IRS accepted it. So that should also
Wow.
tell you something right there about the IRS, because I'm sorry, that's such bullshit.
I would have like, excuse me, can I see the advertisement on that t-shirt with the new enhancements, please? And we'll get back to you, let you know this is legit.
Right. It's like, did they ask for a demonstration? Like, could we please see her in the shirt so we can understand what you're saying? Because that
Before
crosses
before and
over into the
after.
line of like blatant sexism in a way.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but that's also what he's trying to, say. And I'm just like, the first time he told me that story, I almost died, and I really did question my lot in life. I was like, this is the profession I've chosen to go into? Holy Christ.
That is fucking great.
Yeah, so I just, oh boy.
Oh
But
God.
yeah, it's like there are so many ways that you can, you know, get away with stuff with taxes because the IRS is understaffed, underfunded, and now of course Trump's trying to make it even more so. Um,
Yeah,
and see that here's the other thing too. It's like Trump always says he's never released his taxes and this, that, and the other because he's always under audit and all this and that. Okay. It doesn't take that long to complete an audit of 1 year. It really doesn't. Now, obviously, he's got a very complex business organization and it's private and blah 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 blah. And he can pay for loads of lawyers and accountants if he actually pays them, because we know he doesn't do that sometimes. Um, but the IRS is not really set up anymore to catch big tax cheats because they don't have the resources that the tax cheats do. They
of
really
course,
don't.
of course.
So they're going to go after the people that they can go after, which is like rank and file people, small business owners who maybe don't have the resources, or while they may have an accountant or two, maybe don't have like the best accountants, and can't afford like a prolonged fight and shit. So that's what the IRS is set up to do. So when Trump's trying to like, take away, resources and shit from the IRS, it's basically to make sure that he and his billionaire friends can continue to get away with, doing whatever and just avoiding paying taxes. Now, here's the other thing I just
Don't
want
get
to
off
say.
topic now. Don't get
Well,
off
no,
topic,
just real,
Alvin.
real quick. I just want to emphasize there are two terms in tax accounting: tax avoidance and tax evasion.
Oh,
Tax avoidance is legal. That's basically just taking the fullest amount of deductions that you possibly can. Okay.
okay.
Tax evasion is illegal. That's when you willfully don't pay taxes, don't report your income properly, blah, 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 blah. That's like where it's like it wasn't just like, oh shit, I forgot about that, or oh, okay, I didn't realize I couldn't take that deduction. That's yeah, fuck it, I'm doing what I want. So there those two different concepts, and the distinction is important. So anyway.
So I'm still on the the breast enhancements with the t-shirts because
The boob
it's
job.
it's kind of like the male version would be opening a hot dog and sausage stand and in the summertime. We're in Speedos
Oh fuck. Well,
with the advertisement down there. And it's
oh
saying
Jesus Christ, no. Oh, oh. But yeah, it makes me wonder if you could get away with that.
it's a
Hmm.
hot dog sausage stand at the beach, Speedos, and say the guy's like 7.5, and he wants to get to a 10. Hey, we can write it off.
Well, you know what it also makes me wonder now. Now that
I
I've
don't
over this.
I don't know where you just took my mind to another place right there with that one.
Well,
That was
I'm
great.
sorry, but
Was
but
great.
you know what it makes me wonder now too, because it ties into a subject we're going to be talking about here in a few minutes.
Boy,
Not in a specific way, but
mm,
we
mm,
know
bring
plenty
a
of
shot.
female wrestlers out there who have had various things done.
Of course.
Have they deducted those expenses?
You know what? That's a good question. I wonder.
Because first of all, they're independent contractors; they're not getting W-2s and shit. So they have to
Yeah.
like add up expenses and pay their taxes in a much more complicated way as if they were an actual employee. That's another subject. But we know that certain female wrestlers have had various things done. So if using the example I just gave is plausible, I mean, I think it's definitely plausible for these
Hmm.
wrestlers to say, hey, I'm doing it because my appearance is my job.
Yeah. Seriously, I wonder if they could. That's a good question.
So all
That's
that
a
work that
great
Charlotte had done in the year that she was out, did she
write it
sorry,
off.
just had to get that dig in on the fact that I think that the work Charlotte has had done since she was off with her injury was just bad. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm not being sexist. I just think it looks bad. I think she made a bad choice.
Hmm.
I'm not being sexist. Shut up.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to that guy online.
That one guy that will sit here and say that I am. Personal preference. It's okay. It's okay.
Right. I didn't say, yeah, okay, so just for context, the internet is such a cesspool. A couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
I made mention of the fact that I thought that the work that Charlotte Flair had done, which is kind of obvious, was
Oh yeah.
bad. And it's because it was kind of obvious that I was saying it was bad. And I said I don't really understand why she did that, and a couple people criticized me. Who are you to criticize her choices or her appearance? And I'm like, I'm not necessarily criticizing her choice to have work done. I can understand why she would feel the need to because of the industry that she's in, and she is starting to get a little older, which
But
unfortunately, every woman has to face. Unfortunately, um, I'm criticizing the fact that I think the work that she had done was bad, so that she got, like, to use a wrestling term, she got botched. Um, and why didn't she go with somebody better? That's what I was kind of getting at. So
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I think, you know, depending on what type of industry you're in, it's more prevalent for females than it is for males. Of course, we all
oh,
know that.
it definitely is. It's the unfortunate truth of
Yeah.
biology and genetics and every other damn thing. Just
Yeah.
that women seems to age differently than men.
Hmm.
You always hear the term silver fox and like other stuff like
Hmm.
that. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, look at he aged so well. Look at Clooney. He's still so damn sexy. You know, um, you don't really ever hear that
No,
about women
unfortunately, it's not, which is
who have chosen to age naturally, let's just say.
yeah, and those that do still are just as attractive as well. So
Oh,
it's uh, yeah, it's the world we live in. It's a shame. It's a shame in regards to that. I think
no, it
sometimes
is. Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I I did notice she had several items done. For it's she's one of the ones where I kind of to me, for me, my personal preference, less is better. Um, I think she was fine, before she went on her injury, but apparently she wanted to make some changes. That's her choice, but at the same time, I thought she looked perfectly fine, the way she was before,
yeah,
to be honest.
I don't remember finding anything wrong with her appearance before she
No,
tore her ACL back at the end of
no,
23, whenever the fuck it was now. And
no.
um,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
get
and
it. I mean,
it's just,
because what she most obviously had done again was that she had something done with her face.
mhm.
She probably had something tightened, pulled back,
Tighten, uplifted, whatever terminology you want to use for the facial stuff.
and it looks too tight now,
Mm,
to the point where she looks unnatural. That's what I was basically saying.
yeah.
Like, I
Uh,
didn't find anything wrong with the way her face looked before.
oh God, no, no, no.
And I understand body dysmorphia is a thing, Michael Jackson. But it's like those people need the help of a psychiatrist, not a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, and I think that's part, maybe a little bit of it, but it's just it's the culture that we unfortunately have created, and that's within the United States and around the world. Not around the world, not so prevalent in certain countries, um, depending on what country it is, but it's very prevalent here because that's just the culture we've created, unfortunately, for ourselves and for females, which is just unhealthy overall. Not good,
Yeah.
not good at all. But because you see a lot of bad stuff with anorexia and all kinds of
Oh, yeah.
overdoing plastic surgery, and you see the horrors with that and all that stuff, and some of that's not reversible. So it's a sad thing.
I
Um,
used to have a very low opinion of anorexics and bulimics, which was mostly, I think, because of two things. Because of some TV movie they made me watch in high school about the subject,
probably.
and probably also because of a George Carlin routine.
Oh, do I remember that one?
And then
No.
I got a little older and realized it's not as cut and dry as Carlin's routine made it seem. Like, he I think his terminology was, it was something like, somehow I can't feel sorry for anorexic, rich cunt don't want to eat fucker. It's like,
Well,
that's
and
an
not
incredibly simplistic way to describe what anorexia is, as I kind of, educated myself on and learned a little bit more about, there's like, again, there's, it's like, okay, we're kind of in the post magazine era now, but they still, all those fashion mags and beauty mags still exist,
oh,
so it's like,
100%.
just look at them. I mean, and when I was in community college,
LE Vibe, they all still exist.
yeah, and in community college, I had a speech communication class, and we had to do like an oral presentation of like an advertisement, like
Mhm.
analyzing it. And I found this one of some perfume or fragrance, and it was like the giant bottle with the woman like clinging to the top of it. And I don't remember what company it was. If it was like L'Oreal or who the fuck. That's irrelevant because any of these companies could have done this. But
Yeah.
I just remember I was like, as I like looked at the ad and I just continued to stare at the ad, like it's like my premise just kind of fell into place. I said, look at the way she's desperately clinging onto it. She's clinging on so tight with her eyes closed. It's like it's conveying that she needs this. She has to have this. She can't live without this. And I said, and just look at the model that they've used. She looks like a stiff breeze would knock her over, you know. So it's
That's
like,
super
so she
skinny.
probably she probably has to cling onto the bottle for dear life because she would fall over without, so it's like, so I think my premise is just basically like, what they're saying to you here is, the woman viewing this ad, you must
Mhm.
have this because you need this.
One of those.
So that's what they do to women. And
Yep.
unfortunately, I can understand why women, I don't want to say really fall for it, but that's kind of what it is. When you
Hmm.
come down to it, all advertising is getting you to fall for that, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
100%.
they
And for
say,
as much as you see it on TV, like every TV show you watch, or you see w- whatever form it is, you're seeing it all
yeah,
day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365
yeah.
days a year.
Look, like
It's never ending.
everything is for sale at all times in all places.
Mhm.
We've seen it so much increasingly in sports leagues with where they're putting ads on the bases, ads on the uniforms, you know, the
The walls behind home plate.
right, like, in the fact that those are all electronic now, so they can change it up during a game. Doesn't
Yep.
have to be the same ad for the same thing for all 9 innings or all 60 minutes now. We can change it to different stuff so we can get more money from more people.
Oh, hockey games too. The boards. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Different.
yeah, that was, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I haven't been watching quite as much hockey because the Rangers are, but
Mm.
that's exactly what it
Save my
is.
team.
Those boards are, completely like LED or whatever, and they change. What I still don't know for sure, because I've never seen a hockey game live, is if like that's just for TV or if the live crowd sees that too. Yeah. So I suspect it's like the live crowd sees it too, but
Yep.
they could, if they really wanted to, probably figure out a way to do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
Like,
when we
hell,
went to
one thing that the live crowd sees and another thing that the audience on TV sees. So
yeah, no, they you do see it live because when we went to the Blackhawks Hurricanes game, um, on the boards, you could see the different advertisings for it at
did it
certain
still light up
points.
to say like goal when a goal was scored?
You know what?
See, that
Every
might just be a TV thing then.
each team, I think, is different with that.
Yeah.
I think it does do. Carolina does do something. I just when
Yeah,
it's not my
because
team scoring, I'm not paying attention.
well, right, because what I believe
It
is that
does do something though.
if I'm watching a game on TV, it doesn't matter who scores, the thing lights up saying goal, like on the sideboards and everything. But I'm thinking that if you were there live, they're not going to do that for the road team scoring.
Yeah,
You
I don't
know?
think they didn't do anything crazy special when the Hawks scored, but they did do there was stuff for the boards or whatever for when the Hurricanes scored.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, look at for hockey on the ice. Besides like the logo in the middle, there's they're more prevalent. advertisers are in the ice and on the hardwood for basketball, and football has their own specific way of doing it. It's not really on the field yet, surprisingly enough, but they have that their stuff all over the stadium, so a little different
Yeah.
manner.
Well, I mean, and think about this anymore. This might be a segue, depends on where you want to go with this.
Okay.
Dwayne is essentially a walking, talking advertisement anymore.
Of course.
He's constantly selling himself in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's he's mentioning his fucking tequila or
Which he was
promoting,
drinking in a glass at the press conference after Chamber
or
last night.
there we go, or promoting whatever movie he's promoting, or it really doesn't matter what. It's
Yes. Yeah.
he literally is for sale 24/7. He
Movies,
is always
Moana,
promote. He
the
is always
UFL,
right. He is always promoting something
his energy drink.
to the point where he thinks he's the brand. I mean, how Trump has done this in his life. Like his name is the brand. That's why he throws his name onto everything. And of course, most of those business ventures have failed, but that's beside the point. But that's what it is. He is selling himself. So when he's saying he wants Cody to sell his soul to him, there's a little bit of like projection going on when you come right down to it.
Just a tad bit, tad bit.
Since
So,
Rock has sold himself over and over throughout his life,
so we can definitely segue into the Elimination Chamber from last night.
We
Yes.
eliminate the chamber, and the chamber is eliminated. Hey, maybe maybe your memory is better than me.
Oh, that depends.
When did they alter the chamber? What
What
I
do you
mean
mean?
is
What part of it?
the parts outside the ring, in between the pods, they seem to be padded now. When did they put those pads on? Because originally it was like exposed steel, like chain length and whatever. So I noticed that last night, but I don't have every Elimination Chamber match programmed into my memory. So I'm trying to think, when did they alter that? Because I feel like it was somewhat more recently, but I'd have to go back and watch every chamber match to see exactly. But so
Well,
just
they've
wanted to
they've
give
they've
you that.
changed it. They've changed it so many times as far as the height's concerned and things of that nature too. Um, yeah, yeah. Oh God, it might have been two chambers ago.
Okay.
I think I'd have to look that up as well. I'd have to go back and kind of look, fast forward through, fast forward this elimination chamber, see where the last one had the exposed metal.
Yeah.
So I
Now,
don't think it was that far, not long. Nonetheless,
well, see
whatever
that's
padding's
the
there,
whole
that shit's still gonna fucking hurt.
that's well, yeah, but that's the whole thing. I'm thinking that's got to be somewhat recent because they do seem to be making a concerted effort to be as safe as they can.
True.
So that definitely seems like, well, that's an area where we can make things a tad bit safer, you know.
Yeah.
But then, of course, as I'm saying that, we have an unsanctioned match where a barbed wire wrapped chair was used. So,
Yeah. Safer. That match was a not
obviously, that match was meant to be something. Sorry, I just saw something on my Facebook feed that made me cringe.
oh,
Um,
okay.
it was a guy trying to jump over like a fence thing into like the water below, and he like tucks in and goes like this
And the
to
fence
like
caught
go
him.
forward. His head hit the top of the fence. I wonder if the guy died.
Oh, oh. Oof, that's wicked.
Yeah.
Okay. But all right, let's get through this
Anyway,
chamber.
back to the
So
elimination chamber.
yes, first match of the night, like always seems to be routine, is that the women open the show with the women's elimination chamber.
God damn, they're doing a fucking women's elimination chamber match. What the fuck? Yes, when I hear Cornette review this show, it will be some variation of that because he absolutely positively cannot stand that they do women's elimination chamber matches. I get what he says to a certain point, but at this point, it's like, Jim, just deal with it. Seriously.
It's not a big deal. It really isn't.
See, that's one of the reasons, one of the biggest criticisms I'm sorry to just kind of sidetrack here again. One of the biggest criticisms I have of Cornette, because certain people, AJ, accuse me of, just parroting everything he says. Well, actually, AJ doesn't do that, so that was unfair. Um,
Hmm.
but one of my biggest criticisms of Cornette is that I don't want to say it's like sexism or misogyny, but he is still just way too dismissive of most, not all, women's wrestling. He hates the fact that there's a women's Royal Rumble. He hates the fact that there's a women's Elimination Chamber. I
Don't
can
get it.
understand it more with the Elimination Chamber than the Royal Rumble. It's like, okay, I can understand, yeah, filling out the 30 spots in the women's Royal Rumble match can be iffy sometimes.
Not anymore. It shouldn't be because they have the
Right.
whole NXT roster.
This year I thought the 30 they had in there were fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they use
Um,
NXT people.
right. NXT people, a couple legends.
Yeah,
But with the Elimination Chamber, I can understand it more because his philosophy is if you have the women in Elimination Chamber and they have to sell how horrible and terrible it is and everything, then where do you go with the men? And it's like, yeah, but
doesn't make a difference. It's the same thing. It's a brutal match.
I think he's basically saying if they ever start doing like no selling with women in the Elimination Chamber match, then how are we supposed to believe that the same thing could hurt a man if it doesn't hurt a woman?
Yeah, you know what? That to me,
I get it, but again,
that depends on the spot too. Like
right.
it
Yeah,
depends
it's
on the
like you
spot
can't
that they're no selling and why they're no selling. Because to be honest with
exactly.
you, I feel like no sell. I'm not going to get on a which company does it worse, whatever, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. But
Yeah,
just the, just
I don't want to do an apples and oranges comparison right now, yeah.
it's just the fact that like for the no sell aspect, it all depends on what they're no selling, why they're no selling, and technically, when these people are putting this match together, like the no selling part has to be brought up at some point. You would think, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we're gonna do this, we'll do that. Great, you want to do that? Great. You do this, I'll no sell this, and then we'll go from here. And if they're all agreeing to that, that's the gist of it. Complain about the no sell all you want. Sometimes I don't. I have an issue with the no sell when it's a big spot and a meaningful spot and someone no sells.
Hmm.
But if it's a spot that's minimal and the move set, you're no selling for a specific reason and it leads into something else, fine, so be it. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's on how all the two competitors or the four competitors, the five, six want to do this sequence to make it look a certain way.
Yeah. So again, you can't judge with like blanket statements, like blanket um criticisms. You can't
Yeah,
just say, oh, because they no sold this or they did this or they did that or blah blah blah. It's all shit. No, it really does depend upon what the spot is, like you said,
it does.
and because not all spots are created equal, even in an elimination chamber match.
Mm-mm.
Um, like there was one. I'm just gonna drag AEW into this for a minute. Oh, it was either this past Wednesday or the prior Wednesday. Osprey was wrestling Jericho's crony,
Oh, yeah. Because he was hired by Don Callis. Yes, go ahead.
and the end of the match,
The Hunter.
Osprey gave the guy the Styles Clash,
Yes.
but instead of going for a pin with the Styles Clash, he did his blindside elbow, whatever the hell they call it.
Hmm.
So, in order for him to do that, though, the guy to whom he has just given the Styles Clash has to go basically boom, pop back up. Basically, that's a no sell of the Styles Clash.
Technically, yes, because that's a finisher.
Yeah,
It's not a setup move. It's a legit finisher.
right. Just so Osprey can use his elbow as the finish.
Mhm.
Hmm. It's like all the times Rock would people elbows somebody after giving them the rock bottom, you know? And I saw some people on Facebook basically saying how that move that Osprey does, like the blindside elbow, is like the worst finisher going right now. And I'm like,
Mm.
Okada says hi.
God.
Look, I can see where a blindside elbow to the back of the head is more devastating than Okada's short clothesline, for Christ's sake. Because
Oh yeah, 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 100%.
here's what I find hysterical about Okada using a short clothesline as his finisher. That was a setup move in the 80s.
Hmm.
That was literally the move that Jake Roberts did to a guy right before he DDT'd the guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's using the moves in Japan and whatnot, but yeah, I mean,
That's
he's kind
but
of
it's
made
like
he's kind
yeah,
of made that his main thing, which
just
eh,
because they give it a cool sounding name doesn't mean it's anything other than a short clothesline.
and they like do the whole spitting thing too. So I mean, yeah, I've never been a
It's
true fan of it, but
yeah,
that's
so
what he uses.
it's silly to me, but yeah. But anyway, back to the women's elimination chamber
Yes.
match. I will say this: I like that they. I guess they've always done it this way, but I like that they let you know right off the bat who's not starting the match.
Hmm.
They bring out the four women who are going to go into the pods first.
Yep.
So I do like that because then obviously once the first four people have entered, then you go even before they've entered. Oh, okay, I know who's starting the match now. So I do like that aspect of it.
Yes, 100%. It was weird. I was so horrible. Like after the events of Naomi, I kind of it was seemed very easy who was going to be next in each sequence. The men, I just botched that one. I was totally wrong the whole
Yes, you'll have to
time.
explain yourself when we get to that match. But
I was
yeah,
so
with
off
with the
on
with
that
the
one.
women like coming into it, I felt pretty confident Roxanne and Alexa would not be starting
Yeah.
due to Roxanne's newness to the main roster. I'm like, they're not, even though she just won an hour in the Royal Rumble. I said, I don't think they're going to have her be one of the starters in an elimination
No.
chamber.
This is our
And
first chamber. Don't do that to
right.
don't do that
And
to them.
Alexa's only just come back. She's probably
Mhm.
not 100% in ring shape, so I said there's no way she's starting the match either.
Nah,
I
she was definitely gonna be
probably
last
I probably would have thought Bianca would have started the match, but obviously she did not. So
for special reason. So let's get
yeah,
into
there
that.
obviously was a good reason for that. So
So we have Liv Morgan and Naomi start the match.
as
And
Bailey,
then
Bianca, Alexa, and Roxanne wait inside their pods.
yes, and then boom, Jade's music hits, and Liv Morgan looks like she's about to pee her pants and fly out of her fucking boots.
So
Um,
yeah, here's where having the announcers muted because you're on the phone with somebody really goes against you because you see the reaction, but you don't know what they're reacting to until they actually show Jade on camera, which they waited a few seconds to do after her
oh,
music hit.
which was good, which was good. And then you see her storm down, get
She
in that.
looked she looked pissed.
Oh, dude, it was great. Like,
She looked determined and she looked, I
yes,
mean, she pretty much always has, but she looked in phenomenal shape.
yeah, she's phenomenal.
Every
Period.
everybody who wonders why they use her, it's like, dude, she looks unlike anybody else, really. I mean,
Listen, she
and they're
her
gonna
for
keep milking that as long as they can.
yeah, dude. Name me another female who has looked like that in the history of professional wrestling in general.
Yeah, you can't even say China because China did not have the same body type,
No.
you know.
Uh, China and Beth Phoenix come close, but that's really the gist of it.
China was taller. Beth was
A little bit
thicker.
shorter, but she was more broad.
Yeah, she like and again, I don't mean thicker in a bad way. I don't mean fat. I'm not
No,
saying that. She
muscle
had she
density.
had she had a more muscular body type. But Jade's got
Yeah.
like the lean musculature. Beth had
Yeah.
more of like the broader musculature. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Jade looked phenomenal. Yeah. Determined. Um, she was out for blood. You know, the look on her face, everything she did, the
Yeah.
moment she came into the ring was great. You know, Liz played it off so well. And then she just lunges. And it's weird because, you know, I went back and kind of went to the beginning of that. And, the camera was focused on Liz, and you can see like Naomi in like the corner of the screen camera. And you can kind of see where she doesn't have a true oh shit look on her face, but she does have a look on her face. She's like, what's she gonna do?
Yeah.
She's worried, but she's not in the oh shit moment at that time. And then she just lunges at Naomi. And let me tell you, she laid, bro, you want to talk about, professional wrestling always blurs the lines from, you know, realism and in-ring work. They there was multiple times in the show last night where they definitely drew that line. If this is, I don't want to use the word fake, but is it fake or real? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because Jay did a great job of destroying Naomi in that ring, um, throwing her into the fucking pods, just beating the shit out of her, and
Yeah.
then using the door at the end to kind of slump, close the door on her as she's hanging out the thing. It was weird because it was one of those things where I was like, is she coming in there to beat somebody up, or is she coming in there to like enter herself into the rumble and rumble into the chamber match too? I was kind of
Yeah.
wondering.
Is she doing like the thing that like Edge did the one year where
Yeah,
he attacked somebody? It might have been Kofi. I can't remember for sure. He like, attacked the person and then just entered the pod and it was like, yeah, deal with it.
I thought because that's why I thought she was. That's why I'm like, okay, she's beating up Naomi, so I'm like, oh, so maybe Naomi was the one who attacked her. And I said this to AJ on the phone during the week because we had talked about that dynamic of them losing the tag belts, and I'm like, I don't think Liz and Raquel were the ones. I said, I think it was Naomi. And he was like, well, Bianca's the one that needs to turn heel. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But
Mm.
I say, like, Naomi kind of makes sense into a manner to me to be the one because she's the unexpected one. You know what I mean? To be the
That's like,
one to
yeah,
to to jump her.
when was Naomi ever a heel? You
Yeah,
know,
she really wasn't.
I can't really think of a time. I also don't know when Bianca was ever a heel, maybe in NXT, but she's never been a heel on the main roster.
No,
But
no, she definitely hasn't.
so I just pulled the clip back up here again on YouTube. I'm just letting it play, with no sound here. So again, one thing you can never really criticize WWE for is the production, like
Oh,
the way that everything looks, the way that they put things together, the way that they shoot something. And like you said, so
they're on point 95% of the time.
I didn't pay attention to Naomi at all until Jade went at her. Okay. What you said is true. Naomi did have a bit of a worried look on her face, but Liv looked more worried,
Yeah.
was more demonstrative in the way that
Mhm.
she was kind of like, and the camera then also was focused on her. She was in the foreground, Naomi's a bit in the background, and then they totally moved the camera to so you just see just Liv. So they cut Naomi out of the shot completely, you know. And so yeah, so then when Naomi, now the only thing is that there was a little bit of distance between Liv and Naomi because Naomi had backed almost all the way into the turnbuckle then when
Yeah.
Jade attacked her. So there was maybe like one or two maybe extra steps that you maybe wish Jade didn't have to take to actually start beating on Naomi. So it could
It's
have
all
looked
good
a little
though.
bit more like she's swinging at Liv, but then all of a sudden it connects with Naomi. But then they would have had to have been too close to each other. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I was on the phone with my dad, and while this was going on, and yeah, like you said, when she was throwing Naomi into the pods, they buckled pretty good. Now, I
She
mean, I know they're
was
just plexiglass, but I've never seen one of the, like we've seen them fall off. None of them have ever really broken. Like none of them have shattered,
I
thank
mean,
God.
you saw Bailey when she was throwing Naomi into Bailey's pod, like Bailey's putting her hands up to, she's
Yeah.
like, oh
I think
shit.
probably to make sure the thing stays up. But that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like you can see the pod, like the pod door, for lack of a better term, going like boom, boom, very obviously buckling. And then it was also very um notable that the pods that she was slamming her into were not Bianca's pod, you know. So yeah. But like I said, when we were group texting last night, there's still something going on here.
Oh, there's a big dynamic to it. And but you made it made you think. She texts Naomi, she beats the shit out of her, slams the door on her. I thought she was just gonna.
I will say that spot.
I
mm,
mean, that is dicey because that door, you have to be careful with that because
Oh, absolutely. You
that's a
can't
heavy ass
really
door.
slam it on her, but
Yeah, yeah,
they also didn't do a great job of making it look like she actually slammed it on her.
yeah, understand. So that
Also just another slight critique, when she came in, she kind of like grabbed the door as like she was like trying to force it back open. It was still really wide open that there was no need to do that. It's like, yes, they should have been closing the door, the cage door, the
yeah,
chamber.
they were kind
Why
of
were they just letting her in? Why did nobody really try to stop her? Minor quibble, but
yeah, I get it. I thought like after the door spot, she was, Jade was just gonna like fucking push her out, slam the door, and then turn around and be like, let's go. But did you do
yeah,
notice as well, even after all of that, she makes no motion, no gesture towards Bianca at all.
no. And meanwhile, Bianca's in her pod practically crying.
Yes, listen, great acting.
Well, see, this is the thing. We still don't know for sure, and we won't know until Friday what exactly they're doing. Because, like I said, what Jade did is not completely what the act of a face does, even if it's a face who's been wronged by somebody. Because she
True.
just came right in, just beat the shit out of her, took her out of the match, had her stretchered out and everything. And like you said, made no motion or move to Bianca. And Bianca is, going frantic over Naomi being beaten up, but it's like, but yeah, but you're friends with Jade too. You were partners with her first. So aren't you also concerned that and you know what happened to Jade? So to me there's three ways they can go. One way. Jade's turning heel because we'll find out that she wasn't actually attacked,
I've thought about that too.
that she staged it. Why is the see that's my problem. Why?
Yeah.
Where's the logic for that? Because she and Bianca were fucking tag champions. What was wrong? Um, Two, it was Naomi by herself,
Mhm.
which would mean Naomi has to turn heel, and then we'll get a Jade versus
Mhm.
Naomi match, presumably at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Three, Bianca was behind it all along, with or without Naomi. That's going to be harder to pull off because Bianca's got a match with Rhea at WrestleMania now, or
It's
Io. But come on,
it's also gonna
we know Rhea's beating Io tomorrow night.
it's also gonna be harder too because I watched the the little press post interview that Bianca did with the guys at the table.
Yes, I did see that. She was basically acting like she still has no idea what's going on because
Yep.
she's like, Jade or Naomi got stretchered out and Jade was gone, so I don't know what's going on. So if she's really the mastermind behind it, that's still what the mastermind would say. Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. Um,
And was she really crying because Naomi was getting beat up and not because of her
yeah,
feelings of friendship with Jade?
yeah. So there's still a lot of intriguing ways that they can go with this. I mean, again, I will say I agree with our friend AJ. I'm kind of sick of Bianca's character, not her as a performer. She's still one of the most reliable, best
Oh,
performers
she's a
in the ring.
you cannot take that away from her. She's a great performer.
Yeah, I've never cared for the whole EST gimmick. I've never cared for the hair twirling and the hair pulling. I will say
Ooh,
this though.
even though that whip on Liv last night
Oh
was
my God. See, that was the
wicked.
other thing too. I had the sound muted, so I didn't hear it.
Oh,
But when I was watching the post show thing, they played it back, and when I heard that,
bro,
my jaw dropped because that sounded like a fucking gunshot.
shit was wicked. You
Yeah.
see the marks on it. Holy fuck.
And it's like, but she's also saying, you don't touch my hair, you don't pull my hair, and she was pulling my hair too much during that match, and I'm like, okay, I know hair pulling is illegal in wrestling and everything, but in the NFL, hair is part of the uniform.
One could say the hair is part of the uniform in professional
Right,
wrestling.
I'm just saying you wear hair that's that long, and obviously it's an extension and it's fake and everything.
Yes.
But it's like you wear hair that long, you're asking for it to be pulled. It's kind of like when IRS wore a tie. And at the one Royal Rumble, Roddy Piper pulled him over the top rope and out of the ring via his tie. And Monsoon was celebrating, saying, "Yeah, about time somebody made him pay for wearing that tie."
It's funny. I get it 100%.
Yeah.
I,
But
I
but so yeah, there's so much intrigue. But again, the problem with it also is you've now got Bianca booked with Rhea for WrestleMania. So
for now,
yeah, it's really hard to keep her involved in whatever's going on between Jade and Naomi, whichever way it is. Now, again, if it's revealed that Jade was faking it all, then it's very easy to at least temporarily disassociate Bianca from her. Because then Bianca would need to get revenge on her for something. Like, how dare you set me up and then beat the hell out of my friend? And so there's a few ways they can go. It's a matter of can they pull it off and make it make sense, which is always the big question.
here's the thing that I've noticed since November, end of October-ish to November with WWE. They have done a very good job of giving us the unknown
Hmm.
as far as promos in the back, promos in the crowd, promos in the ring, people walking past each other that don't like each other, small interactions here, small interactions there, a lot of foreshadowing in a lot of aspects between a bunch of wrestlers, just like uh, the one Raw, where it seemed like there was only like two or three matches, and everything else was like promo, 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 backstage segment, and I'm like that, you know. I know some people, AJ didn't wasn't a fan of that show, and I get where he's coming from. And I just kind of spun it as I'm like, listen, they're doing more foreshadowing for stuff. They're giving you hints of, hey, this match could happen down the future. This could be a possibility down the future. And he's like, he understood that. As like, and if you look at it hindsight, it was kind of like a blah fucking Raw to begin with. It was kind of like the matches weren't great, and you know, a lot of promo work, and it was just kind of like it seemed like a very blah, Raw in general. But it was the storytelling aspect of they're doing a very good job of setting a lot of things up and you don't know which way they're going to go. So what does it do? It's making you watch the shows. It's making you tune into Monday, making you tune into Friday. And with some of the people going to NXT, which I'm fine with some of the main roster going to NXT from time to time, but only if it makes sense per se. But you have people going to NXT. So you're making them watch more. You're getting more eyes on NXT as well, as far as like some of this stuff. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, but they've done a good job of doing that since October, November of last year, and just every month. Because now, look, Jade gets attacked. She does what she does in Elimination Chamber. Is Naomi really behind it? Was she a part of it? Was she the whole thing? So on, so on, and so on. So it's an intrigue. We don't know what's going to happen with those three. We believe Rio will beat Io Monday night, which makes sense. And
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
sorry, EO, but Rhea's got the star power.
Yeah, I like you. Definitely do.
I do
But
too. EO's definitely one of the best women's wrestlers that there is too, but in terms of star power, Rhea's just heads and shoulders above her,
Oh yeah, 100%.
literally and figuratively.
And just based off where they're going storyline wise, yes, it makes sense as well.
Yeah,
Listen,
Rhea Bianca sounds like a much more marquee match. Again, we're talking about Wrestle fucking Mania here, so you wanted to be putting on your best possible matches.
yeah,
Rhea Bianca checks many more boxes than Io Bianca does.
yeah, it does. And it's one of the things where, does Bianca make it to WrestleMania? Like we're gonna see what the storyline holds. Um, I think I put in the group chat that I rated this match as an A overall. Honestly, I thought the match was good. Um,
I unfortunately missed a lot of this match. To be honest, I completely missed Bailey and Roxanne getting eliminated.
well, dude, like, kudos to Roxanne. First off, I've been a fan of hers. You know, she's a good wrestler. She's a good performer. She did really good in the chamber. Um, a lot of good spots. God, she did everything very well, 100%. Um, they all did. They all had their moments. They all did good in the match. Um, just the selling of the moves and everything like that. The women did a really damn good job. I gave it A. I thought it was really well done. It was probably a little bit better than the men's. I don't remember what I graded the men's. I think I gave the men's a B. Um, but
C plus,
um, I thought it was fine. It was I don't want to say serviceable. I guess serviceable, but
right?
it was a good match. But
C
the women did a lot
C
better.
plus,
Yeah, the women did a lot better.
C plus, right?
Yeah, CC plus.
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, CC plus. So match two was the tag match with Tiffy Time and
Well,
Trishy Time.
real
Oh,
quick. Let
oh,
me,
okay,
yeah.
go. Oh, I'm
Let me
sorry.
just say,
You needed to
no.
conclude. I
Again, like I said,
apologize.
I did miss some of this match because I was on the phone, and that's my own fault. But there wasn't as much story stuff outside of the Jade Naomi stuff. There wasn't as much story stuff going on in the women's matches or whether it's the men's match, which is really kind of an unfair comparison. It really is really the two matches were the two matches. There's really no reason to compare them.
No, I mean the women were just that was just that one storyline with
Yeah,
Jade and with Bianca and Naomi, but the rest of that match, was just
it was
you
really
know
just about having the match.
just having the match and see, it was having the match to get to Mania. That
Mhm.
was really the gist of it. And they all those women had some beef with each other at some point in time in the past year, which is granted, which is fine, which
Yeah,
adds to it. But with that being said, that match was just a match to be like, who's gonna make it to Mania? Who's gonna fight the champion, whoever it may be, Rhea. But yeah, that was the gist of that match. That was just after that was just who's gonna win,
yeah. So I
which is
mean,
fine.
yeah, but in a lot of ways, um, that's all you should be worried about with that match is like who's going to win. So that's what they kept it. And obviously now a question. I mean, the women's mid card and undercard is a little harder to say. And even with doing WrestleMania over 2 nights, the way they waste so much time on promos and entrances and everything, even at
Mhm.
WrestleMania, um, it's not entirely clear like how many women's matches they'll be able to put on the card here. I need to go to last year's card real quick just to get maybe a
It's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging because you have a lot going on with the men this year too.
yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. So okay, so last year there were 7 matches on night one, 7 matches on night two.
Mhm.
I really kind of wish they could do 8 per night. Um, but let's see. So you had Rhea Becky on night one. You had Jade Bianca Naomi against Damage Control, which was Dakota, Asuka, and Kyrie. Because I think Io was hurt.
Yeah.
So that was night one, two, two out of 7. Night two, you had. Oh no, that's right. You didn't. Io wasn't hurt. She was defending against Bailey on night two.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
On night two, which was
The
the
only one.
lone women's match on night two.
So 3 matches they had last year total out of 14.
3 out of 14. Now we've introduced mid card women's titles. I'm not
And
saying both need to be defended at WrestleMania.
it needs to be bumped up to five matches for the women.
It'd be nice if you could try to find a way to include them
Hmm.
on WrestleMania. Um, oh, here's the other thing too. When I say there were 7 matches on night two, that's including Damian Priest's cash-in,
Hmm.
which was 9 seconds long.
Hmm, gotcha. They
See,
technically could do 8 matches a night, but that all depends.
well, let me do this in my head real quick. 10 and a half and 8.5 is 19, and 12 and a half is 32. And that's 30, another 32 is 64, and 33 is, what is that, 97? There were about 97 minutes worth of in-ring action on night two last year. So
Hmm.
an hour and 37 minutes out of a 4+ hour long show. Night one, I think, had more in-ring action, but that was mostly because of one thing. So let's see, 34 and a half, and 11 is 45 and a half, and 11 is 56 and a half, and 8 is 64 and a half, and 15 and a half is 80, and 44 and a half
The tag match.
is 124 and a half. So yeah, you had more in-ring action on night one. I don't remember if night one went longer than night two because my memory is warped because it took us longer to get home on night one than on night two.
I know, because of
So
where we were,
so no
where we
matter which way we
parked
look at it, night one felt longer.
overall.
But yeah, I mean, we'll have to try to start piecing together the card here as we go. But yeah, there really does need to be more than 3 women's matches because we already got 2 women's title matches.
Mhm.
We're presumably going to have Jade and Naomi. So right now, here are the women who are not on the WrestleMania card: Bayley, Io, um, Nia, Alexa, Roxanne Perez,
Mhm.
and that's just 5. There's obviously many more.
Yeah,
The 2 women's mid-card title holders, you know.
Chelsea Green
Yeah.
and
So
what's her name? I forget. I'm having a blank for it right now.
Lyra.
Yeah, Lyra.
Yeah. And we haven't even, of course, talked about Becky, but it sounds like Becky's not coming back for WrestleMania, which honestly I think is okay.
It is. It
I
is.
think that they should focus on who's been on TV for the last 6 months or so for WrestleMania here rather than bringing Becky back and doing whatever with her because that's essentially what you would be doing with Becky right now. It would be whatever.
Yeah.
It would not have much meaning. So I'm
No,
okay
wait.
with keeping Becky off.
Yeah, wait till after Mania at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah. So, like you said, and moving on, the women's tag match.
Yes, Tiffy time and Trissy,
I
Trishy
know they were trying
time.
so hard to get that over on Friday night on SmackDown and everything.
First night and Candace.
Tiffy time is easy to say. Trishy time is not.
Trishy time.
Because your mouth and your brain rejects you trying to say Trishy.
Yes, it does.
It's a little too
Especially
much
for me.
with your mouth, and your brain is saying, "Who the fuck says Trishy?" So,
Yeah, yeah. Kudos to them, you know.
yeah. Again,
Matching outfits.
I liked that what they were essentially doing by involving Trish with this was it was in Toronto. Trish still looks great for
God,
somebody who's
yes.
pushing 50.
100%.
Um, I mean, yeah, she's literally 49. So, um, and it's also trying to because they really haven't when you come right down to it, they haven't done a lot of reasons to tell you Tiffany is a face now.
I
Yes,
know
she
they
cashed
haven't.
in. Yes, she cashed in on Nia, but she did so in a very heelish way. A lot of her promo sense have still been pretty heelish.
Mhm.
So she's become a face by virtue of Charlotte being more of a heel.
Yep.
But so pairing her with Trish, who of course is ultra popular and always will be, is really just trying to help you further solidify Tiffany being a face, which I'm fine with. I think this was a good way to help you do that.
Yeah. Going
And
against Nia and
she
Candace.
has softened in her promos now in terms of
Yes.
she sounds more like a face now. And she sounds like, even though she's the title holder, she's actually the underdog against Charlotte. So I think this is going to work fine until, of course, she gets pinned by Charlotte, and then it will be terrible.
Yeah, that's a topic for another discussion at
Yeah, but I
some
was saying,
point
well,
because
I keep focusing on everything but the goddamn card from last night. So
no, but I get it. I get it. Like for as much as I love Charlotte, it's kind of like it's something. Let Tiffany have the belt a little longer. Like put over Tiffany and then have a match in the summer at SummerSlam or something to get the belt if you want to put it on Charlotte. But don't want to get off. But at the end of the day, that's not Tiff's decision. It's really not Charlotte's decision. It's
yeah,
Triple H and creative and the writers and what story they want to tell by bringing Charlotte back and how they want to go about it. If they want
it
to put the belt back on her, that's her choice. And if you're a wrestler, you're not going to say no to that.
it feels like a parallel I'm thinking of, even though it's not the same in a lot of ways, is Bret Hart when he won the title the first time. He wins the title from Ric Flair on what's essentially a house show, though they later showed the match on TV, I think on Primetime Wrestling, because this was still the pre-Raw era. And then he's a fighting champion. He has a really good match with Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series in '92. He has a really good match with Razor Ramon at the '93 Royal Rumble. And then he loses to Yokozuna at WrestleMania. Now, whether that was because of the Hogan of it all is another story. If Brett was just going to retain against Yoko without Hogan's involvement, don't really know. Probably because no heel had left WrestleMania champion at that point.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but then they spent like the next year. Brett wins King of the Ring. He has the feud with Lawler, uh, which then gets recycled back to Michaels when Lawler had to go away because he got accused of sex with the underage girl and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Then he goes through all the stuff with Owen. Owen's turn and everything, the losing the tag match at Royal Rumble, then winning the Royal Rumble with Luger, and then winning the title back from Yokozuna. It was almost as if they were thinking people didn't buy Brett being champion the first time, so they had to have him chase it again
Mhm.
and actually chase it because he never really chased the title the first time. He had lost the Intercontinental title to Bulldog at SummerSlam, and it was like a month or two later that he beats Flair on this house show in Saskatchewan. There was no real build to it, there was no real story. So it almost feels like maybe they think so. Tiffany won the title by cashing in, which, while it's her right, is still kind of heelish in a lot of ways to do it. Because even when faces do it, they're taking advantage of the heels being weak, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Um, so did they think that, yeah, they'll get Tiffany over as a face more by having her chase Charlotte for months? Um, I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyway, back to the match.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think the match was serviceable. It did what it needed to do. You have the hometown woman um, in a tag match with a very over and popular champion in Tiffy. Um, and I think it kind of finally, hopefully, put the nail in the coffin between Tiffy and Nia. I don't want to see this feud going on because
They
right
really need to
now,
move past that now because It,
yes,
it,
is
it's
she?
it, it's getting annoying. Naya's annoying. Candice is completely annoying. And I don't mean like annoying in that, oh, I want to see them get beat. Annoying in that, oh my God, I don't want to see them. They've got X-Pac heat with me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I definitely I understand where you're going with that one. Um so it's kind of like the story between Naya and Tiffy has definitely run its course. And then winning the tag match last night was great. It was a good feeling for everybody. Put the faces over. Let's move Naya and Candice onto a new direction, wherever
Yeah.
it may be. Put them in a program with somebody else because now, come tomorrow night, or are they on SmackDown? I forget.
They're
Nonetheless,
all on SmackDown.
come Friday, we need to get it needs to be we need to start getting the promos now between Charlotte and Tiffy and see where that's going. We have 6 weeks. We have like an extra week or two
Yeah,
for
that's the thing because WrestleMania is 2 weeks later than it was last year. So
so
sorry,
we have
dropped my eyes
no,
real
you're
quick.
good. So we have two extra weeks. So they need to really start focusing on what's coming down the road for Mania and start getting the cards shaped up
Yeah,
and get that distinguished. So it's
yeah,
starting.
and
We need Charlotte needs to be more prevalent in on the show with Tiffy
yeah,
now.
and that match could have only ended the way that it did.
Oh yeah,
Tiffany, as the champion, has to win. You can't have her taking a loss, even if Trish ate the pin or whatever. Like you said, 6 weeks before WrestleMania, when she's already perceived as the underdog against Charlotte. And as you said, you basically needed to draw an end to this feud. And by having Tiffany win and Nia and Candice lose, that should, keyword should, do that trick, you know. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, you definitely need to just it needs to be all Tiffany and Charlotte from here on out. And they need to do something to make sure that it doesn't get stale in 6 weeks. Wait, you know what? I don't even think 6 weeks is right. I think it's more like seven. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is seven. It's 7 weeks until WrestleMania. So Joe was staring intently at something.
no, I was just you were doing comparisons of you know um them not trusting someone being the champion. It kind of reminds me of Punk when he won the title. He cashed in on Edge after Batista beat him up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like he defended the title a couple times, but then like,
Nobody was buying him as champion.
yeah. So they took it off him. And then they kind of did the same thing. He had to like start over again
That seems to be the big disadvantage, I think. If I were to go back and look at every single time somebody cashed in,
because Punk then won the Money in the Bank again. Like he's a two-time Money in the Bank winner.
yeah. I want to
I
say
think
that
back-to-back years too. If I correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but it
he may
might be
I
true.
think you're right, but I think if I were to go back and look at every time somebody's cashed in, if they weren't a champion at any time prior to when they successfully cashed in, their title reign wasn't great. I want to say that's my hypothesis, and I'll have to go back at some point and look for the evidence of that. But that's what it feels like. It feels like anytime somebody cashed in for the first time, people didn't necessarily buy them as the champion because it was like,
Yeah,
because again, they established from the start, from the very first cash in, with Edge cashing in on Cena right after Cena's gone through an Elimination Chamber match, that they're always, catching the champion at a moment of absolute weakness, face or heel, because when Punk did it, like you said, that's what happened. Edge had just been beaten up by Batista.
yeah,
So that their title reign isn't legitimate then. They didn't win it legitimately. Now RVD's cash in gets excluded from that because he announced it ahead of time and he and Cena had a full actual match, which RVD also won with help from Edge,
correct.
which I remember I forgot when I wrote up an article about it at the time.
Yes, yes.
Because it didn't lead directly to the pin. RVD and still like hit him with the frog splash, and there was like something else I think in between all of that. But I do think that's the way it is. If somebody cashes in and again they haven't already been a champion, so like they're not already established in some way. Like if Drew had been successful in his cash in last year, I don't think it would have been necessarily a problem with his title reign because he's been champion before.
Yeah, that wouldn't have mattered. That wouldn't have
And,
been
and let's think about it. They once had Otis win the briefcase. And again, I like what Otis does and for the role he fills.
but
But even I don't think I ever actually saw them putting the title on Otis. So they gave
no,
themselves an out by not even having to worry about him challenging for it. And
yes.
let's think about it. Would anybody have bought Otis as champion had he cashed in successfully? I
No,
don't think so.
unfortunately, no. Not at all.
Yeah. And like, let's look at some other people who unsuccessfully cashed in. Baron Corbin, Damian Sandow.
Mm,
Don't think anybody would have been buying them as champion.
no.
As much
Nope.
as I love Damian Sandow.
Yes, he was so good. but no one was the crowd. The fans were not going to get behind that him as a champion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it would
And it's
not have
obvious,
lasted long.
and obviously, it's harder for a face to cash in successfully and
Yeah,
be taken as a legit champion again, unless
correct.
they're an established person. So,
Yes, I agree with that.
like, okay, so now now I just thought of one that kind of goes contrary. Rollins, when he cashed in at WrestleMania, that was his first championship. But I think it was more the people were just so overwhelmed by the circumstances of what he did and how he did it,
Yeah, true.
you know?
I agree. I agree.
And they had basically built him up as like almost like the biggest heel in the company ever since he turned on Roman. So,
Yeah, true. True.
like I said, I'd have to actually go back and look for the evidence before saying that my hypothesis is correct.
Yeah, because there's always
That's
something
called the
we're
scientific method, kids.
yeah. There's always something we're gonna forget and whatnot. I just can't remember everything. You got to do the research, kids. Got to do the research. Get your facts straight from
Yes,
Julio's.
never, ever go off your memory, especially when you can find the facts.
Yes, 100,000%. All right, so that tag match, I think I gave it a C plus, serviceable
Yeah,
C, C
there
plus.
wasn't really anything special that happened
Nah,
during the match. The only thing that I
it did
can
what
really
it needed to
remember,
do, pretty much, and that was
the
about
only
it.
the only thing that I can really remember from the match is like Tiffany went for the moonsault and she didn't hit it, and she looked like she slipped, but at the same time it was like Nia or Candice, whichever one, was kind of like fucking with her, so to
Yeah,
speak. So, and I also think it was made to be understood that she wasn't hitting it then.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
almost as if she like didn't go up properly on purpose. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I don't think that was meant to be a spot where it was
Right.
time to do that.
Like I'm saying, like I don't think she was botching it. I think she was intentionally missing it, kind of,
Yes.
you
Yep,
know.
100%. I agree with
And
you.
because then of course she did it flawlessly later. So again, I think that's just good overall in-ring psychology in a way. So, but yeah, other than that, wasn't really a lot special about that match. So
No, it did what it needed to do. Um, and that was Tiffany finally putting the rest her feud with Nia, really. Um, that's what it needed to do, and that's all it needed to do, to be honest.
hopefully that's what it is, and that's what it will be.
Yes, 100%. Um,
People don't think like it is, but it do.
yeah. Next on the match on the card for last night was the unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, this match did resemble a match from ROH that I do remember seeing, and then I went back and rewatched the match again. A lot of similarities as far as the brutality and the chairs being used when it was ROH Kevin Steen versus El Generico. Um, very
I don't
hardcore.
know who those people are.
Um, they're people. That's all you need to know.
El Generico? That sounds pretty generic.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
Mask was
sometimes you have to go for the obvious jokes.
I know it's fine. The mask was pretty generic as well, but hey, it's all good. I mean, I had a generic mask too, but it's cool. Um,
Ha ha!
but listen, I for a match like that, I thought it was a good match. Um, they did a lot of big spots. They really went at each other. Street fight, hardcore, um,
That was the
whatever you,
thing. I told my dad on the phone this was an unsanctioned match, and he said, "Well, what the hell does that mean?" And I
anything
said,
goes.
"Well, essentially, it just means another name for no disqualification, hardcore rules, extreme
Yeah,
rules, street fight." I said, I said these terms are all kind of used interchangeably. I
of
said,
course,
but to say that it's unsanctioned means that the promotion hasn't agreed to it. They take no responsibility for the performers.
injuries.
The referee is only there basically to count the pin.
Yep.
He's
It's
not there to do anything else.
I thought it was hilarious that the referee already had the black gloves. Like,
Yes, I noticed that. I'm like, he's got the gloves on and nothing has happened yet.
I was like, he's just like, listen,
Like,
he's be
spoiler alert, god damn it.
he's being prepared. He's thinking ahead of time. He's like, I know this is gonna get bloody, so let me just put these fuckers on now instead of waiting until I have to. So, that was a that was funny. Listen, the match is what it is. It was brutal. I thought it was a good match. Only thing for me is I thought it was a little long, honestly.
Felt a little long, to be honest. I wished there had been a different outcome, but
Dude, like,
I know why Owens had to win.
so I was fine with Owens winning. I so here's the thing. I know at the end of the match, at the end of the attack, the fight, Owens pulled back the pad. To me, that would have been a better finish to the match. Putting him doing that move on the pad with the exposed padding and then dragging him into the ring and pinning him instead of how they finished that match. Because it seemed to be those are my two critiques. One, it was a little too long, and two, the finish, how they did the finish, because that finish seemed to be very underwhelming, if you want to put it in those terms,
Mhm.
of how they finished it when you're having like finisher after finisher after finisher after this big move, da 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 da, and these chairs
Banger
being
after
used,
banger after. Oh, I'm sorry.
banger after banger. Um, and then they're still kicking out. But then you kind of finish in that aspect. It felt a little underwhelming. Now, if you're trying to say, well, he was exhausted, he just couldn't get back up, I guess. But in a match like that between those two in a feud and a friendship that they've had for like 20 plus years, you'd kind of want to end on a more of a devastating note than what they did.
Yeah.
You know, I was fine with Orton coming back. It happened after the match. This is something I've heard rumors of Orton versus Owens at Mania.
Which makes
Because
sense because Owens took Orton out.
yes, correct.
I mean,
So
and in some way, it's like I wish that they would have done Sammy Owens at WrestleMania, but after doing an
correct.
unsanctioned match between them, there's really no place for them to do
No.
Sammy Owens at
And
WrestleMania.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think Sammy's gonna be wrestling at Mania. I
I
really
can't,
don't.
I can't, unless he gets thrown in some multi-person match for the Intercontinental or United States title, I can't see how he fits on the card right now.
No, no.
And see, that's why I kind of wish there had been a different outcome because Sammy is such of a lovable underdog babyface.
Yep.
He's one of those guys that you kind of hate seeing lose,
Yes.
you know, because there's always going to be that. Yeah, he beat Gunther for the title, the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania last year and everything, but there's still always going to be that thought. Well, it's Sammy, he's not winning,
I
which
know.
is unfortunate.
Yes, it is. It is.
But
Now, you know, like I said, the match was good. I liked it. I liked what they did. Those are my only two critiques. A little too long and how they finished it. Orton showing up was fine because, you know, they gotta move forward. So that was their way of showing you instead of doing it on Raw or SmackDown, they did it at the show, which is fine. And
yeah,
listen,
that's basically their way of telling you.
show telling you what's next. It's going to be Orton and Owens feuding, and it's going to lead to a WrestleMania match. Now, who wins that WrestleMania match? We will see.
Now
Is
here's a
is
situation. Yeah, here's a situation where history, gut feeling tells you Orton's going to win,
correct, but
but Owens really should,
yes,
you know, because we have no idea. We can assume Jay is going to beat Gunther.
we could, yes,
We don't know who's going to win between Cena and Cody. And if Cena wins, how much is he actually going to be around to be defending it and blah, blah, blah. But you need to have potential challengers down the road in place because one of the problems with Cody's title reign, and of course was not his fault, was that he had underwhelming feuds until they really started this stuff with Owens.
Correct.
While he had good matches, the feuds were whatever.
Lackluster.
Yeah, like the AJ one, good match, blah feud.
Yep.
You know, the match with Gunther that I think happened, but it may not have because I don't think I saw it, so I don't think it actually
Oh,
happened.
because it was in that other country. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Rhymes with Fraudy Barabia. Um, but
God.
again, I'm sure he and Gunther had a good match, but the feud was pointless. It was a thing to do for that particular show for those fans. Again, I have nothing against those fans. Um, but it had the fact that they have to build it up on the TV beforehand because they expect all fans are going to watch it. It's like, sorry. Um, so they need to have challengers, and it's like, well, they've already had Owens wrestle Cody, and Owens obviously isn't going to wrestle the heel Cena. But they could do the draft on us at any time. Owens could be a good challenger for Jay.
Yes, Owens could be because the draft's going to come at some point after Mania.
Yeah, and there's obviously history between them from a couple of years ago when they were on opposite sides. So I think that
Yes.
would be an intriguing feud for a face Jay to have, you know.
Yeah.
So because the worst thing about Jay winning the title from Gunther is going to be getting the second version of Kofi as champion,
Yes.
where 4 months down the road they have Jay lose the title to whoever to Roman in 5 seconds. Like, so
One of the things, and maybe I'm wrong for thinking this, but I'm just going to use the potential or inverse Owens at Mania. Yes, I think Owens should win to keep his streak going on. You know what I mean? But I guess this comes down to the whole, well, you're at a certain age and you've been doing it for this long. It's time to start putting over the younger guys. Well, Owens really isn't that young either.
that's the
Um,
whole thing. Yeah, just because he hasn't been around as long doesn't mean he's young. Kevin Owens is 40,
so it's kind of one of those,
about to be 41 because his birthday is in May. Randy Orton by comparison is about to be 45. There isn't a tremendous age difference between them.
no, no, there isn't.
That'd
It's
be
just,
like that's like when Hulk Hogan said, "Well, we got to start putting over the younger guys like Bret Hart." When this was in like 2000 WCW, when
hmm,
he said that. I remember reading in WCW magazine, and it's like, um, Hulkster, you at the time were 47, and Bret was 4 years younger.
it's not that much of a difference.
It's not,
No, it's just, I, I mean, I get it, but then I also see the other side. It's kind of like, if you're still able to go and perform properly, why do you, at that point of your career, I don't care how much accomplished you are, like, wh- why why can't you have one last run or whatever? You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
kind of like it's a double-edged sword for me with that one, I guess. That whole topic is a double-edged sword. Like, I understand both sides of it. At some point you start, getting the younger guys over, but that's only for being put in a position in a program with younger guys to do that. If you're being put in a position with guys of your age, been around as long as you, does it really matter who gets put over as long as the story? To me, I guess in the past like 5 to 10 years, I've just been more storyline driven in regards to the production of pro wrestling. Really,
yeah,
I love the matches. Don't get me wrong. I look for great matches, great promos, promo work. But like, if the storylines make sense, I'm just going with it and seeing what happens.
yeah.
Um,
Because
you
I
know,
mean, I hate to tell people this, but what keeps you tuning back in week after week is not because, oh, so and so might put on a great match tonight. It's, oh, I want to see how person's going to get their revenge. or I want to see what dastardly tactic so and so is going to do next.
It's the story. It's the journey of how you get from point A to point Z.
Yeah, the matches have to deliver to give you the closure, to give you the
Of
payoff,
course.
but the matches really aren't what makes you tune in.
No.
That's what Vince Russo figured out, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Yeah.
led to a lot of bad shit, unfortunately, but that's a different story too. But
Yeah.
again, that is what keeps you tuning in is I want to see where this is going, not, oh, Osprey's going to put on a banger tonight.
Because that's where like I'm not getting as
No offense
I
to Osprey.
no, I understand. Osprey's fucking awesome. It's just one of the things where I'm not getting bent out of shape or pissed off. Like if the wrestler in the match that I'm a fan of, been a fan of for however many years, is not winning the match. Does it suck? Yeah, but listen, as long as the storyline is good for both wrestlers in that match, after that match, wherever it's leading, cool, it's fine. Everyone's like, oh, this person doesn't need a belt anymore. They've done X, Y, and Z. Well, yeah, great. That could be the case. But, you know, what's preventing them from trying to go for a belt one more time or another time? I was like, it's kind of weird with pro wrestling now too, with a lot of other sports where, we know pro wrestlers have stayed in the game longer than they should. We've seen it for decades. It's probably the sport that they do it the most in compared to any of the other sports. But at the same time, the wrestlers now have a lot more available to them for their health and physical well-being than they did back in the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. So some of them could pretty much stay around longer than one might say. But
Yeah.
of the course of people that, stay around longer, that move like they're 70 when they're only 48, that's when things become a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it this way, just so how much like it's changed in terms of like how long wrestlers can go. And I'm not talking about guys like Jericho and Edge and a few others who are wrestling way past their prime. Um, in 1990, Jim Herd wanted Ric Flair to move aside, essentially. He wanted somebody else to be the champion. He didn't want Ric Flair to be the champion anymore. He wanted Ric Flair to change his gimmick and become Spartacus and all this other shit. Yeah.
Mm.
Ric Flair was 41 years old. Now, obviously, he didn't have the physique that some of the guys do today and everything. Flair was never a body guy in that sense. He was
No,
always about the endurance and the stamina. And I'm the 60-minute man. You know, that was Ric Flair's gimmick. Not that he was like the most impressive looking body and everything. But so think about that. 35 years ago, we wanted to get the 41-year-old out of the way. Now, think about how many guys are around that age. I mean, I just mentioned how old Owens and Orton are. Think of how many guys are around that age who don't look like they need to be shuffled off the roster tomorrow. You
AJ
know?
Styles is another one.
Yeah, AJ
I think he's
is
45. No,
AJ
he's
is
he's my age.
47.
He's born the same year as me. That's right.
He will be 48 in June.
Yes.
John Cena, same age. He's going to turn 48 the week after WrestleMania. Now, obviously, he's a part-timer, so he doesn't really,
Count.
fit that perfectly. Um, Seth Rollins will be 39 in May. Roman Reigns will be 40 in May. Um, LA Knight is 42.
Yep. And LA Knight's a late bloomer,
Yeah, he is. Shinsuke Nakamura is 45 now.
and he can still
Um,
go.
yeah. Well, since we were just talking about him, Sami Zayn will be 41 in the summer. Okay. Jey Uso will be 40 this year,
Do you know what we should do?
which obviously means Jimmy Uso will be too.
Do,
Gunther is 37.
do you know what we should do? We should just go through the men's roster and make a spreadsheet and put like their age.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Cody Rhodes will be 40 in June.
40's
Um,
the new 30.
Drew McIntyre will be 40 in June. Damian Priest is 42.
Yep. I know he's a late bloomer too.
Yeah,
He's
because
another
he's
one.
another guy who had a late start and everything. So
It took him a while to get noticed in
yeah,
regards to him.
Chad Gable is about to turn 39.
Mhm.
He's one of the most there guys in terms of his physique, his presence, his
Dude's
everything, you know?
dude's a beast, man.
Yeah.
And he loves his minivan.
Yeah. CM Punk is 46.
Yeah.
What big guy am I missing? Sheamus is 47.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's 47.
Hold on. Big guy, big guy, big guy. Who are you missing?
There's only one guy I'm thinking of so far who could still be definitely classified as young. Braun Breaker is 27. He is a fucking baby compared to everybody I've just named.
Trying to think of who else you could be missing.
Jacob Fatu is about to turn 33.
Hold a solo.
Solo is about to turn 32.
So they're on the younger side. Um, I don't even know if you consider
Now,
Braun Strowman.
yeah, Carmelo Hayes is only 30.
Yeah, he's another young one. I don't. Do you even consider Braun?
Uh,
Would you put him
Braun
in that?
Strowman, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Braun Strowman's 41.
Yeah, I knew he was either at 40 or close to it.
Yeah, so what we're just basically saying is that these guys are still fit, they're in shape, they can still go, they can still talk, until they want to say that they're done, or until you have to say you can't do it anymore because of injuries. Like, the conversation that, they would have eventually had to have had with Mick Foley if he hadn't taken himself out of the equation when he did.
God, yeah.
Because let's say Mick Foley retired in 2000, right?
Hmm.
And at the time, Mick Foley was 35.
See, and that's just the fact that he destroyed his body.
Right.
I mean,
That's the
that's
whole point. So
different
until these
cage.
guys are like broken down to the point where it's like, dude, you're gonna kill yourself, you know, you can't really go there. Rey Mysterio, of course, is 50.
Yeah, he's one of the old heads.
Well, here's the thing. I thought he said he wasn't gonna wrestle past 50. Is this your last year, Ray?
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because it's like, since Cena did his, my ending tour, like Ray's like, if I can't wrestle past 50, Cena just took my thunder away.
Right, exactly. Poor Ray getting overshadowed by Cena again. Like that night he won the title and Cena won it from him 2 hours later.
Man, crazy.
Dom is of course on the young side. He's only 27, about to be 28.
Yeah.
Finn is 44 in July.
Oh, yes, Finn Balor. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Finn's in great shape.
Beast, bro. I wish I was in that shape right now.
Yeah, I
It's a
wish I had
beast.
those fucking abs. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I know. I know. All right, let's get to
But
let's
no,
get
I
to
got this.
I just started going back to the gym. I went back to the gym on Monday and been doing
And
it because
Leon's getting larger.
yeah, I've been sore all week. But anyway,
But yeah, so again, we're just saying you don't need to be shuffled off because you're in your 40s.
yeah,
Not anymore.
I just feel
Guys
that
are able to keep themselves in much better shape for various reasons.
I just it's we can use
Road
this.
schedule isn't as grueling,
Yeah,
better nutrition, better training.
we can bring this up as a topic for another show for sure. I'll put this on the back burner so we don't get carried away.
I mean, I
Um,
think we already did, but
yeah, we always do. So for the last match, we have the men's elimination chamber.
yep.
No shenanigans in the beginning, but plenty of shenanigans afterwards.
And again, not very surprising that we had Drew and Seth starting the match.
No, no, no.
I think
Listen,
it was pretty much a given that Punk and Cena weren't going to.
no,
And I think it was also pretty much a given that Logan Paul wasn't going to.
I he was one I was on the fence about starting. If it was him and Rollins starting, I could see that. Him and Drew, maybe not so much. But it was the right call to do Drew and Rollins because I thought it was great when like Drew's beating the shit out of fucking Rollins against, Punk's pod, and Punk's antagonizing him, encouraging him, and then the roles are reversed, and he's encouraging Seth and all that. Yeah, it was fun. That was good storytelling in regards to that. Um, the match was good. I think I gave it a B, like I said. It did what it needed to do. It was a good match, it was good moments. It was cool to see Cena and Punk in there together, kind of going at it, having their moment
Yeah,
together.
I think a lot of people were looking for that because we know what they did together in the past. The
And
Money in the Bank match, the Raw match, so we know what was there between them in the past.
and that is why those two were the last two to wrestle. That's why those were the last two. Because Punk's already had his shit with Drew and Rollins. He still has his stuff with Rollins. You know,
He's got his
Punk,
favor.
yeah, and it's great that he put Logan Paul to sleep. That was great. And then they tagged up on Rollins and Punk got the pin on Rollins. Um, Drew going out the way he did was kind of funny. In
But obviously that just further, so we know we're getting Drew against Priest at WrestleMania.
yes. So
And I know that might feel underwhelming to some people, but it makes sense for a few reasons. Lest us not forget, a year ago, Priest cashed in on Drew.
yeah, it's still there. That's long storytelling. We're going back to a year ago
Yeah, and again,
to
they've switched since then, but still, no, Priest has switched, Drew hasn't.
yes, Priest has switched, Drew has not. So
Yeah,
it's it's one of those things where, hey, there's your storytelling. You're going back. So the match was set up to show us what we're going to get for WrestleMania in multiple ways. We're getting Drew versus Damian. Makes sense. We're Punk, Seth Rollins
something will happen with them.
with those two, triple threat, four-way, don't fucking know. But those two are going to have because it Cena had no other real experience with anybody in that fucking ring in that match,
But
but
except
Punk.
for Punk,
Punk.
because I
And
don't think he definitely did it with Logan Paul.
no.
Well, he did with Seth.
Yeah, the Shield stuff and some
Yeah.
other things too. But
But yeah, he didn't really. He definitely did it with Priest or Paul, and I don't really think he ever wrestled Drew when Drew was on his first run.
no.
And
And there's
if he did, it would have been kind of a joke possibly because Drew was either too new or was in 3MB.
and the thing about it is like the thing between Cena and Punk was like their feud, their whole thing was big. Like it was up here compared to what Cena did
That
with Seth.
that was the pipe bomb.
Yeah, you got to go back to that. Like
Yeah.
Cena
I don't
has,
even hate you, John. I like you more than most of the guys in that locker room, you know?
and Cena's had his moment has been in um matches with Rollins. You know, he's already done that. It's been more recent
Yeah.
compared to there's more history with him and Punk. So it made sense him and Punk being the last two in there, going at it, having a match. That's what the fans want. Did you see when Cena's in there and Punk takes care of Rollins on the outside and he looks up and Cena's sitting there in the corner waiting for him? The fans start going ape shit for that. And he slowly gets in and Seth interferes. We knew, I knew it was going to be those two once it was the final three,
I
pretty
felt
much.
fairly confident it was going to be Punk Cena at the
Yeah.
end
But
because
once,
they still seem to be the two guys who had the most at stake.
yeah, 100%. So it was one of those things where when it was the last, I felt overall it was going to be those two. When it was the last four and then the last three, I was like, all right, it's going to be Punk. They're going to eliminate Seth, and it's going to be Punk Cena. And then what did you get? You got Rollins screwing Seth, Rollins screwing Punk, which rightfully so. That's the storytelling. That's what you wanted to have. So then Punk doesn't tap out, but he passes out. So hence Cena wins. So
So that'll be very interesting. Their interaction on Raw tomorrow night.
it's going to
It's
be
going to be
epic.
interesting. It's going to be interesting in how they do it. Like, is Seth going to come out to the ring for a promo and Punk just run right down and look to be beating the shit out of him from the start? or will Punk come out first and Seth come out and go, ah, you know, like
Yeah,
he always does. So
we'll
even
see.
though it's like we've seen it, we still want to see more.
Yeah. Because it's more the dynamic is there for those two. So then Cena wins.
While
And
Cena
Ray,
wins.
it's crazy too. And you know what? I it's so funny how right after Cena wins, they start raising the cage and then boom, Cody's music hits like in no time. I was like,
Mhm.
well, okay then. And then
So that's again sign one.
yep,
We
red
just
flag.
we
Red
discussed this.
flag.
I think we discussed this before we got on the air because that's the
Yes.
problem with when we talk before we start recording. I can't remember when we started.
I know.
Um,
Um,
sign one was Cena's post Rumble press conference because he's saying like I'm going in the elimination chamber so I don't have to qualify. I'm going to win the title because that's best for business. Remember, best for business was the authority tagline.
mhm.
Um, so that was sign one.
So Cena pretty much pulled a Hogan.
Sign two is that Cody comes down while Cena's still in the ring, essentially celebrating.
Yep.
Sign three is when Dwayne comes down with Hanger on for whatever reason.
It just for clout, like I mentioned. Celebrity clout. That's all that is.
I know
Final boss, all that shit.
it's
I'll
it's
make your dreams come true.
it's so meaningless, but
These are the people I associate with. I
yeah.
get it.
But the fact that by the time Dwayne gets to the ring, Cena's still standing there,
Mhm.
sign three.
Yep. All red flags.
Because let's face it, Rock wants an answer from Cody. What business does Cena have in that?
No.
So,
And it was, like going back to Cena's press conference, like, the comments and the words he used and his mannerisms and his tone, like you're talking as a heel right now.
you're talking
Like,
as a guy who's frustrated that he's frustrated that he didn't win the Royal Rumble. He knows this is his last chance. He desperately wants that record-breaking title reign just so he can have somebody break his record one day.
it's not gonna,
Nobody wants their record to be broken, so that's a complete lie.
yeah.
Um, but it's like that sense of entitlement, you know. So everything about it was I'm going into the elimination chamber because I don't have to qualify because I'm John fucking Cena. You
Yeah.
know, that's
It
essentially
it felt very heel Hoganish, to be honest with you.
I did everything for the charities. I did everything for the kids.
Yep.
You fans can stick it, brother.
That's what it felt like. Like literally, that's what it kind of
Well,
felt like to me.
well, that's what I was just. I don't know if you saw it now. Of course, it's gone off my feed. I was scrolling through my Facebook feed again. Somebody had a picture of the Firefly Funhouse match from the NWO segment
Mhm.
when Bray dressed as Bischoff and Cena dressed as, I guess, Hogan, or just
Yeah.
wearing NWO stuff. We're doing like the too sweet to each other. And person put the caption, Bray Wyatt was the Nostradamus of wrestling.
That's classic. I love it. I love
And
it.
it's like, I'm sure they weren't thinking of that because, I mean, shit, that's 5 years ago now. And really anything Bray related should just be kind of kept in the past at this point, unfortunately. But um, it does kind of bring that full circle in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a very like when after I heard him with that segment, I'm just like, like this, like that was a red flag for me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not, and the fact that he wasn't on TV for a while, you know what I mean? He wasn't on
He
TV at
wasn't on
all.
T he hasn't been on TV since Royal Rumble, right?
No.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Like
like,
I thought for sure he would have shown up Friday night at least.
and Logan Paul pulled the wool over our heads with
I
him
mean
coming out to see this
that
music.
was great to get heel on Logan.
Oh yeah, it
The
was
heat on
awesome.
Logan, not heel on Logan.
Yeah, no, it was great. I, at the end of the day, this is a very ballsy move by them for them to turn to turn Cena heel on his retirement tour. It's very it's that's ballsy. I would love to know whose fucking idea this was. Like whose idea was this to come up with this ballsy of a move to do
Yeah.
this? Now
Really,
let's see if it's gonna fucking work.
yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, you say ballsy, and it is in a way.
It is. I think
My
it is, but
my
that's
my my,
crazy.
my problem with it, and the thing that I posted on Cage Side Seats last night that a couple people were taking me to task for unnecessarily, the way in which they did it was wrong, if you ask me. But because they started attacking me personally rather than attacking my opinion, there's a difference.
Yeah, that's just ignorance on their
My
part. That
my
means they
my
don't know what
pro-
to tell
my,
to come back up.
my problem with it is the Dwayne of it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So let's look at it from this aspect.
I feel like they're going to create a stable of some sort.
Let's look at it from this aspect. Rock talks to the media after SmackDown last week. It was last week, right? And is talking about how this doesn't have to culminate with a match between me and Cody. Well, so you know Cena needs a proxy then. And Cena's and or not Cena needs a proxy. Rock needs a proxy. And Rock's also giving it away, essentially, that Cody's not going to accept his offer.
Mhm.
So that's one
I'm,
thing.
I'm glad they didn't bleep out. You can go fuck yourself. That was
Yes,
great.
my jaw again pretty much hit the floor, but god damn if that moment didn't need it.
Oh, you
I'm
did.
sorry. I'm
That's
sorry. If
great.
you even if you bleep it and you know what he said, to hear it
It's
was
not impact.
cathartic.
It's not as impactful.
Because the way that Cody's character has been since he came back is that, yeah, he's kind of like doing the white meat baby face routine the same way that Hogan did, the same way that, Bret Hart did, the same way that shit, like you could say Bruno and Bob Backlund did, not Austin and Rock, of course, that was a different time. The same way Cena did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm sorry,
Super
we
Cena.
don't we don't want Cody to agree, but we also don't want Cody to look like a pussy. And unfortunately, he looked like a pussy. It wasn't as much as he looked like a pussy. He just looked weak last week after Rock said, "I want your soul."
Yeah, yeah,
They had the
yeah,
camera on him with this look on his face where he just looked utterly confused.
yeah.
And it's like you don't want your top baby face looking that weak. And kind of frankly, that's stupid. That's another thing Cornette will say often. When you make your top baby faces look stupid, that's when you lose the audience. Yet somehow
Yeah.
they always got away with that with Sting in WCW.
It's the icon.
Well, I'm just saying, name one person who didn't turn on Sting when they befriended Sting.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally
Granted.
everybody did. So
Yeah.
Flair, Luger, Hogan, Vampiro, just
Yeah, the list goes on. Yeah, 100%.
yeah. So anyway, so yeah, we needed to hear Cody say that, but okay. So here's the thing. Here's where the logic starts to fall apart a bit. Obviously, there's a prearranged agreement between Rock and Cena. Because when Cena hugs Cody, he makes that face at The Rock, and Rock gives him the signal. And
Yeah,
what
the
what was
two.
that?
The two.
What was that? So I think it's just Dwayne being Dwayne, quite frankly.
Probably.
So
Adding something he didn't need to do, probably.
so we're basically saying, I mean, frankly, Dwayne needs to come right out and say this. Oh, I knew Cody wasn't going to accept my offer.
So I had a backup plan.
Yeah, so I went and I made the deal with Cena. But it's like he has to say that because if he doesn't say that, then the logic kind of the moment falls apart. Because if he doesn't expect Cody, if he doesn't tell you he knew Cody was going to say no, then he's going out there expecting Cody to say yes. And if Cody's going to say yes, why does he need Cena? So that's where the logic doesn't always work. But again, as Bruce Pritchard would say, you're trying to apply logic to an illogical situation.
Pretty much. That's
Yes,
professional
but
wrestling.
yes, but
I
you
know.
know.
It's the part of pro
So,
wrestling. Yeah.
so again, this is what bothers me about it. Let's take Dwayne out of the picture entirely. Let's say he's not there. Let's say they're not doing this thing. You could have just done face versus face, Cody versus Cena. That story would have still sold itself. You could have Cena turn heel,
Who would have?
and that story will sell itself. You don't fucking need Dwayne.
You don't.
You're
Whether
using him as a crutch, and he's using you to get a payday and to, keep himself relevant. Because again, I don't remember what movies he's got coming out. He's got The Smashing Machine about Mark Kerr, the UFC fighter. I just
mm,
don't see that being a huge box office movie. Some guy tried to argue with me saying, well, nobody really knew the story of Iron Claw. And I'm like, Iron Claw made $45 million worldwide. That's nothing.
yeah,
It only cost $15 million to make. And even with marketing costs, that means it's still probably turned a profit, but not a huge one. And are people going to go see a movie about Rock playing a UFC fighter who I don't think most people know outside of UFC? Shit, I looked up his record and it's not like he doesn't have like an astounding record.
no.
So I don't know his story. So again, and Rock's unrecognizable in it. I've seen like the one production shot from him. I wouldn't have known that was him. So
Oh,
kudos to the makeup.
yeah.
But again, I just don't see that being Boffo box office. And let's face it, like they were showing that hype reel for him. They were talking about how like the one movie was the most watched ever movie on Netflix. I'm like, that's great. I think critics hated it for what that's worth.
That was a
And I'm
fun
not
movie
sure how
because I like Ryan Reynolds.
right. And I'm not sure how much you really can monetize that saying it's the most watched movie. What does that really mean? It's on Netflix. So you can't ascribe a box office number to it. Then they said that Red One was like the most viewed, like, or had the biggest opening in Amazon history. And I'm like, yeah, and the movie cost like $250 million to make and made it like 100 million. So it's a huge money loss.
That was a big loss for them.
So again, that's the whole thing. He's not had a hit for a while at the box office between Red One and Black Adam and all the DC controversy, and even going back to like Jungle Cruise. When was his last hit? The last Jumanji movie?
Probably.
I'd have to really go look, but it's like
Well, if you
I
can,
was
if you
joking with
consider
some.
Moana as he played the voice of
That's it.
Moana.
Yeah, they use Moana, and it's like that's Disney. It's a sequel. It's animated.
Yeah,
You're hearing him. You're not seeing him.
yeah,
People didn't go see Moana 2 because
of The Rock.
Rock was in it.
No, just add
That's
a
not the
bonus.
reason why people went to go see Moana 2. You can't really you can't really say that to me. I mean, does he I'm not saying he doesn't have appeal,
Well, he
but
does.
I'm just saying that things have been more bad than good for him lately when it comes to the box office. Now, let me just see real quick. So Moana 2, Red 1,
The Fast Saga too, like him
he
being
had an
put into
uncredited
that.
role in Fast X, in Fast 10.
He uncredited role
That's what it says. It says he was uncredited. So he must have been a cameo.
or a flashback.
Yeah.
Might have been a flashback.
Black Adam, the animated DC League of Super Pets, which I don't think did a whole lot. Red Notice, he had a brief voiceover role in Free Guy, which I don't even think you would have been able to tell it was him. But
No,
obviously he wasn't there. Then Jungle Cruise. Why is it saying I don't have Jungle Cruise rated here on IMDb? What the hell's going on? I got to figure that one out. And then yeah, Jumanji, which is we're talking 2019 already, and Hobbs and Shaw was 2019.
oof.
6 years since a legitimate live action box office hit for him.
Yeah,
That's
it's
enough
not
to
good.
ruin a lot of people's careers. And oh, and I didn't mention Young Rock.
Oh, the TV show. Yeah, well, it was pretty popular though.
Yeah, it was pretty popular, would still be on the air.
Well, it was to a certain point.
Two seasons, 37 episodes. That was it. So
But yeah, yeah. I mean, I get everything you're saying because it's now we have like again, well, I'm trying to beat a dead horse here, but we have 6 weeks. So let's see what the true dynamic with The Rock, John Cena versus Cody
yeah,
Rhodes is going to turn out. And listen, dude, they I when they were beating up Cody, right? I
thank
was
God they
like,
had blood. Thank God they had blood. If there was ever a time blood was needed, that was it.
because they were really going at Cody. And then when like he kind
Yes,
of
thank God
sat up,
Travis Scott was there to hold Cody's hand at one point.
dude, like Cody's whole face was turning black and blue from being hit with the belt. And I'm like, wow, they really tagged him. Like they this wasn't
But
no kind of fake shit. They were tagging him with that fucking belt.
Dwayne has struck me as not being careful the last few times he's participated. I think he just fuck it, I'm wailing on you.
And the fucking belt. And I'm talking about Cena hitting, Cody in the head with the fucking heavyweight belt, the black and blue on his left side of his face and then the bleeding. But
Yeah.
that was like that is a moment of the fine line of realism and not being real. And then the belt whipping with the fucking weight belt. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. So I mean it was brutal. It needed to be. It really it had to be.
It did. It did.
So but yeah, it's like well I'm willing to say let this play out and see where it goes. I just don't really think people wanted to boo Cena now. That's the thing. Like 10 years ago, people would have definitely been fine with booing Cena and wanting him to turn heel.
Yep.
You've sold this whole as being this whole retirement tour. So that's why I don't really get why you do this. And some people were disputing me on that when I said I don't think people wanted to boo Cena. And the one guy said, well, didn't you hear them booing after he attacked Cody? It's like, yeah, that was after he attacked Cody.
Yeah. But when
They
you're
definitely need to be booing then. I'm
yes,
saying in general. That was the whole point. It's like you just gave them a reason to boo Cena, but again, I don't think that's what they wanted to do.
yeah,
I
definitely I
think
don't think it
everybody was
was.
fine with him having his victory lap retirement tour and cheering the hell out of him.
Yep. I
Thank you,
agree.
John. 20 fucking years.
Yep.
So it's just yeah, I don't know. I'm willing to see where it goes, but again, I just Rock just turns me off right now. And
Yeah,
you
I
know,
get it. And
so
it's and just and it is. It's because we're now 2 years in a row where he is, you know,
oh
injected himself into WrestleMania storylines.
that's the problem. That's what it feels like. That's another funny thing. He was talking on the SmackDown last week. He was talking about how like the one thing he's never had is a brother. Um, Cornette and Last were majorly chuckling over that because yeah, you do, Rock. You just don't acknowledge them because your father fucked around.
Yeah, pretty much.
For
Yeah,
those of you who don't know what we're talking about, go look up Soul Man Rocky Johnson paternity and you'll see.
100%. Yeah.
Rock has half brothers out there, but he, as far as I know, chooses not to acknowledge. He does not acknowledge them.
And speaking of acknowledge, where does Roman Reigns fit into all this?
Yeah. Now, AJ, I remember, and I think in our group text had said, do we see Roman tonight? And I said, I
No.
really hope not, because I think there's enough other stuff going on that if he appeared tonight, it would just convolute things a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so he didn't. And think about it. Think about just the way everything played out last night. Where was he going to show up to beat the shit out of Rollins as Rollins was finally leaving the chamber? So what? He can
Yeah.
do that on Raw tomorrow night if he really wants to.
There was nothing for him to intervene in. And what is he going to do with the whole Cena turning heel? Like he's going to show up and like he's going to be like, what the fuck? Like whose side is he going to take? Is he going to take his cousin's side or is he going to take Cody's side? Like that wasn't the time.
Yeah. I
There wasn't
mean,
the time for him to show up for anything last night.
the thing of it is though too, because Cody's on SmackDown and now presumably whenever Cena deigns to show up on TV between now and WrestleMania. So that's another thing too. How many times is Cena going to be on television between now and WrestleMania? Doesn't Cena have to be on SmackDown, even if it's a pre-tape thing
He
this
has to
coming week, you know?
he has to make this more relevant than what it is. And he
Yeah,
had
but
these
both between Cena and Rock, they one of them needs to be there every fucking week now.
yes.
Because otherwise
Damn
Cody's
right.
just going to come out there and cut a promo to the air.
Yep. They both one or both of them need to be on the show every week.
Yeah. So, that's the other thing again that's my concern about how you're selling this, is
Yeah.
just
It is a like I said before, they are giving us so many options. It's a wait and see at
yeah.
this point.
That's the thing. It's like the options is what keeps us coming back. At some point
Correct.
though, it's like you do have to deliver,
Yes,
you know.
100%. You
Not
do.
necessarily not necessarily in the ring, hopefully, but more so in just that you need to have the story end properly. It's like I remember when Cody lost to Roman at WrestleMania 2 years ago. We were all on the thing together, all four of us. I remember I had like a pen in my hand and I fucking chucked it across the room. I was just so pissed. Imagine if Cody hadn't won the title last year.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because at Royal Rumble and again then last night I saw somebody with a sign that said if Cena loses we riot, which is funny because of the if Cena wins we riot sign from One Night Stand all those years ago. Um, but it's like if Cody hadn't won last year, I think they would have lost a ton of goodwill, and it's like,
Hmm. It
and think
would to a
about it
certain
too.
point.
Think about it too. You're actively working with TNA right now. And AEW has just shot themselves in the foot so many times. It hasn't progressed, hasn't added viewers, hasn't improved their standing. So they're not even really competition,
Just an alternative.
but don't squander the goodwill of your audience.
Hmm.
And like one guy said, "Oh, you can tell this is Triple H and not Vince booking anymore because Vince would have never done that." And I just said, "I don't know. Vince doing something to spite the fans, or doing something to spite the fans, which to me, Cena turning heel feels like in a lot of ways, though they built up the whole retirement tour aspect.
Yeah.
I said doing something to spite the fans feels like a pretty goddamn Vince move to me.
And
So
here's a countermeasure to that. Vince wouldn't do something like that, but he killed the streak.
yeah,
He could have
so
let Taker have that undefeated streak at Mania, but nope.
the best point that I think I saw related to something like this is somebody said, well, if it doesn't work out, they can switch him back face just as easily as they did with Austin. And I agree with that.
Yeah, they
If they
could.
decide this isn't working, yeah, they could turn Cena face again and people would start cheering him again. No problem. So, you know,
So backup plan if all else fails.
yeah, it's like because if you remember, I mean, they turn Austin heel at WrestleMania. They do the power trip thing with him and Triple H, and Triple H gets hurt. Then they're doing like the paranoid Austin. Then it looks like he's turned face again as they're doing the invasion story. But then it turns out he turns heel and he was just really, he's the heel again and everything. So, um, yeah. But then when they get to Survivor Series, Team WWF wins. The next night, Austin's as a face again. Like in 24 hours, just for like no reason, it was like Vince goes from face to heel again. Angle goes from heel to face to heel, and Austin goes from heel to face, all in like that 24 hours between Survivor Series and the following night's Raw.
That was crazy.
It's funny because it was 2001, and so like in 2000, of course, WCW had done their reset, with Russo and Bischoff taking back over in the Millionaires Club and New Blood storyline. that night after Survivor Series 2001, where they end the Alliance storyline, Austin turns face again, Vince turns heel again, Flair came in.
Mm,
That felt like WWF resetting in so many ways.
yeah. No, it did.
So, oh, and Jericho also had turned heel during that match officially during the Survivor Series match
Oh
because
yeah,
he
yeah, he
attacked
did.
Rock and almost cost them the match and everything. So, yeah. But again, yeah. So look at this. We're spending this much time talking about it. We're going to continue to be talking about it for the next 7 weeks until WrestleMania. Let's just see where they go
Yeah.
from here. So again, WrestleMania card. What do we got so far? We got Cena Cody. We got Jay Gunther.
Yep.
We got Rhea Bianca. We
Hmm.
got Tiffany Charlotte. Those
Yep.
are more or less confirmed.
4 matches.
We're expecting Priest McIntyre,
Yep.
Roman Seth Punk. Let's just say that for right now.
Okay.
Jade Naomi.
Okay.
Now think of everybody else you got to involve.
That's 7 matches you just mentioned.
8.
Oh, eight. Oh, I miscounted. Yeah, 8.
Wait, was it? Hold on. No, I think you're right.
So that was
4.
7.
Yeah, no, that was only 7.
Okay.
Sorry. I forgot I didn't use my thumb on the sand. I can count on my fingers.
Not my thumbs.
Yeah. Um, you got the US title, which again, LA Knight just won number one contender thing. I don't know if they're going to do that on SmackDown. I doubt they're dragging that all the way out to WrestleMania.
Mm.
But so you've got both US titles, you've got both intercontinental titles, you've got 3 tag team titles, Raw, SmackDown, Women's,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So you got a lot of pieces you can use in various different ways, whether it's Logan Paul, LA Knight, Sami Zayn. Oh, Owens Orton. There's your 8th match.
Oh, yes, yes. Forgot to.
So you got the people who are currently holding those titles. So Shinsuke, Braun Breaker, Lyra, Chelsea, Liv and Raquel, um, DIY, the Viking Raiders, War Raiders, whatever the fuck they're called now. I've lost track.
Street Profits, City Machine
Street
Guns.
Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, even Pretty Deadly. They've kind of grown on me, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Um, there's still not a lot of really great tag teams on Raw right now, um, but you got Gable and his guys. You've got Mysterio and the LWO people. You've got Sheamus. You've got the Judgment Day guys. There's so many people that you've got. I don't care if you do a bunch of multi-man matches for some of these mid-card belts. That's fine. I just make it just make it a decent match then. I mean,
Put the right people in the matches and let it run from there.
right. It's like I don't want them to try to squeeze everybody onto the card, but I don't want deserving people to be left off.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's
We
what
have
they really need to figure out. The main matches are in place. You need to build those storylines, but you just need to figure out how you're going to best utilize the rest of your roster.
Yep, 100%.
It's not, and hey, we can sit here and criticize and second guess all we want. We don't know how to actually book.
No. And the thing is, like, even though we have 6 week gap, they really need to have this. They need to have this in like seven,
WrestleMania's in 7 weeks.
7 weeks. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You keep saying 6, and I keep telling you it's 7.
Sorry. Oh no. I heard Triple H say 6. That's why I'm like stuck on 6. Um,
Well, maybe he's not counting that last week, but whatever.
Probably is not.
Oh, and just real quick, since you mentioned Triple H, I kind of turned it off when Triple H came on because I didn't want to listen to him just say nothing.
I,
So I
I
didn't see Cena's appearance.
oh yeah. Well, I after Bianca was I went to bed after that.
Yeah, I
Um
really didn't pay attention after Bianca's thing with
I
Pessador.
did this morning when I woke up. I haven't listened to the full Rock or the full Triple H thing, but I did see the clip where they had a clip. Cena walks in, sits down, picks up the mic, drops it, and gets up and walks out. And I was
With the
like,
with the disgusted look on his face the whole time. So you know what? Perfect.
yeah,
For what they did, that was perfect.
yeah,
Because he's not giving them any answers. So you have to tune into SmackDown.
And that's what
And he basically treated them with disdain and everything.
yep.
So
And that's the way you wanted to do it. So it worked.
you didn't want him saying anything. You didn't want him taking a bunch of stupid questions. You didn't need to. So
Yeah, 100%. So it worked for what it was. I'll go back and watch the two with The Rock and Triple H to see what they have to say later on today. But um, yeah. So at the end of the day, for the 6 to 7 weeks that we have till Mania, they
six,
really,
seven. Let's put it this way. It's more than six, less than seven.
yeah,
Because 7 weeks from today is night two of WrestleMania, which means night one of WrestleMania is less than 7 weeks from now.
good speaking. With that being said, they really need to have their other storylines in place within the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing anything the week before WrestleMania and be like, all right, we're going to add this card. No, no, no.
Yeah, unless you're just like throwing something together last minute to get people on the card. Because okay, so like the last WrestleMania and the Reliving the War that I watched was WrestleMania 2000. The hardcore battle royal they did was more or less thrown together at the last minute with like all the guys that they didn't have something else for. But that worked given the context of what they were doing with the hardcore title at the time, the 24/7 and everything. That
No,
didn't need build.
no,
Most
no.
everything else is going to need a build, though. All the matches that we mentioned that are scheduled or
Yep,
that we suspect need good builds.
yep,
If you're going to use the mid card titles, they need good builds.
right. Yep, 100%. So we're in a wait and see situation at this point.
Yes. So we're not going to know everything after this week's shows,
No,
but we should know more at the
yes,
very
maybe it's
least.
some mid card stuff, but
Yeah.
we should get semi answers for the
Well, again, like they'll start building to Rhea Bianca after Rhea presumably beats Io tomorrow night.
correct.
Jay Gunther we're already on that road.
Yep,
We're now on the road with Cena Cody.
yep,
They've already started with Tiffy Charlotte. Now they can focus on that completely.
yep,
So like the Priest McIntyre, the Owens Orton, the Jade Naomi, and the presumably Punk Roman Seth, those are the ones that you got to start really firming up within the next 2 weeks.
yep, 100% they do.
And the rest of the stuff can kind of fall in place as they go because those things are more important than the other stuff.
Yeah.
There is still a hierarchy. I hate to say it. So.
Yes, yes, there is. Always will be. Always will be. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting time from now till Mania. So just crossing my fingers and toes that they go about it the right way. And then we'll see where the storylines take us to WrestleMania and after WrestleMania. So all right then. I think it's about that time.
Well, let me just say this real quick. I want this on record.
Okay. Oh, you want it on record. All right, go for it.
This won't be uploaded before, but the Oscars are tonight.
Hmm.
I have now seen all of the major nominees except for the movie I'm Still Here, which is nominated for Best Picture and Best Actress because it hasn't fucking played anywhere around here.
Wow, it's crazy.
It's a foreign movie, so but it's like
Oh,
even like the art house theater in the area hasn't had it. So that just
hmm.
seems so weird, especially once it's gotten Oscar nominations. But I just want to say for the six major categories, Best Picture, Director, Actor, Actress, Supporting Actress,
Mhm.
my final predictions, I'm gonna go with Anora winning Best Picture, holding off Conclave.
Okay.
Sean Baker, the director of Anora, will win Best Director.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with my guns and say Adrian Brody still wins Best Actor for The Brutalist. Holds off Timothy Chalamet and somebody else I think they were saying might have been kind of charging up the leaderboards lately. I'll say Demi Moore wins Best Actress for The Substance.
Yes.
I watched that movie this week. It was not exactly what I would call a pleasant movie-going experience.
Mm,
It's
I've heard.
it's not for the squeamish, let's just put it that way. Um, Kieran Culkin will win Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain, which he was really good, but I really want Guy Pearce to win. I've liked Guy Pearce ever since I saw him in LA Confidential.
Understood.
Um, and unfortunately, Zoe Saldana will win Best Supporting Actress for Amelia Perez. I say unfortunately because I don't think the movie's that, leaving aside all the controversy about the movie, I just don't think the movie's that good, and I don't think she was that good.
We will
So,
replay this.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I wanted it on the record where I can't deny what I say.
We will discuss this on next week's recording and see how this goes after tonight's Oscars.
Yes, and trust me, if I get all six of those right, I will be texting you saying, I went 6 for 6. I went 6 for 6. Not that you care. Ha 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 ha.
You should try to see if any of the betting sites are taking bets on the Oscars and put your
Well,
bet
I
in.
think I think when let me just pull up Gold Derby. Yeah, if you ever want to know who's going to win awards in like TV, movies, everything, goldderby.com, best site for predictions, odds, all that kind of stuff. Um, let's see, their final odds as of now. They have Anora at 5-1, Conclave at 6-1, The Brutalist at 7-1 for Best Picture. Best Director Sean Baker for Anora at 83-50.
Funny odds.
Brady Corbett for The Brutalist at 17-5. Okay.
Mm,
Best Actress Demi Moore for The Substance at 39-20. Mikey Madison for Anora at 82-25.
such weird 82 to 25 shit.
So a little more than 3-1, and Demi Moore's a little less than 2-1. Best Actor Adrian Brody 7 for The Brutalist 7-4. Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown 16-5. Best Supporting Actress Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez 31-20. Ariana Grande for Wicked 4-1. Isabella Rossellini for Conclave 5-1. And Best Supporting Actor Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain 29-20. So 1.5-1. Guy Pearce for The Brutalist and Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, both at 5-1. So upsets are always possible at the Oscars, though. So we shall see. One thing I can say fairly certain, I don't think Amelia Perez is going to win any major awards other than Best Supporting Actress. Like the lead actress, the trans actress, she's definitely not winning because of the comments that they attributed to her that were unearthed. And I
Yeah,
think the controversy about the movie's legitimacy to like Mexican culture and trans issues and all of that kinds of stuff is definitely going to prevent it from winning Best Picture and Best Director and probably some of the technical categories too. It could still win for, I think it's nominated twice for Best Song, so it could win one of those. I don't know. Um,
okay.
Best Song is such a worthless category most of the time anymore. So,
I'm not even too specifically worried
well,
about it, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. I mean, think about it like this too. It is Best Original Song. So if you're doing a film version of a stage musical like Wicked, you have to create a new song for it to be nominated for an Oscar because anything that was on the stage play won't be eligible. And there are no songs from Wicked that were nominated. So I'm assuming all the songs that were in the movie were from the play.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. All right then. Let's wrap it up there. We've been on for 3 hours and 16 minutes. Probably actually more close to 3 hours because I think the first 16 minutes we were probably just BSing before we got actually recording. So
Greatest heel turn ever, as they have the picture of Brock and Cena standing over Cody with Cena's foot on Cody's head, and the other douchebag leaning up against the ropes, looking like Dennis Rodman. Um, no, I'm sorry.
it's not the
We
greatest heel
all know what
turn.
the greatest heel turn of all time was. As much as I hate the son of a bitch now, it was Bash at the Beach.
Yes. This isn't
There's,
that.
there's, it's literally Bash at the Beach is all the way up here. Okay, everything else is starting here.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
It was
All
a great
right.
heel turn.
Oh yeah. No.
It's a great heel turn.
Yeah. 100%.
I just don't think I like it yet.
Yeah. More to come on that one. All right, everyone.
Yeah, like that's the good thing about having these opinions.
Mm,
We can
yeah,
change them as new information comes in. That's
correct.
essentially what it is. All right, I will shut up now.
Oh, it's okay. Okay. Now we were going to end the show today. And I will have this up on good old social media, YouTube and Facebook, Wednesday or Thursday, probably more Thursday. It depends on how week goes. But thank you again for everyone who's been, you know, being active on our social media accounts
Yes.
and help us
Thank
out
you.
and watching and viewing and clicking and all that jazz. So we thank you for that. And
Jeremy, we love you.
at times. Um,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
the dynamic duo does its job, don't worry. Um, we hold it down. But we will use his ending. So thank you again, and I hope you all finished with us.